Hello.
Hey,
Oh,
everybody.
hello.
Hey, everyone.
Hi. Welcome, everybody.
Here we are.
Yeah. I'm waiting
What is
for
it? Saturday?
We're big talkers today. Hey,
Wait
how
for
are you guys
Chad.
doing on a Saturday afternoon?
Oh, okay. Wait,
morning?
I'm already
It's
posting
too
my line.
early. It's too early, guys.
It's
It's
too early,
usually
yeah.
we're on late at night. I don't know. I'm like still sleepy.
Right.
Hey,
So, Chad, what do we have going on?
Yeah.
Oh, we have our special guest in a minute. It'll be Mark Turi and Jo Dusepo. Isn't that right, Marilyn?
That's right, Chad. Isn't that right, Janice? Isn't that right, Steve-O?
That's right.
So we have some
Oh.
of the people who have Freezing the Project is already here.
Hello.
FXP.
hello.
Our friend number 5 on letter A, Kelly.
Hi.
Sorry, Mark Andrew,
And
Helicopter.
Helicopter.
The
Hey,
amazing
guys.
What are you
editor
doing
of the
awake?
video.
Yeah, she was up
Kelly?
late last night.
Yeah,
If
she's
anybody
amazing.
here hasn't seen the video, the documentary, the Aftermath
Oh.
Foundation documentary that Kelly edited,
Amazing.
you have to. You need
Since-
to.
Since we're here, and this
Yes.
is our intro. This is our intro part before the guests come on. If you haven't seen it yet, what are you doing?
Right.
Yeah. I
The
watched it
video, the aftermath, the aftermath.
Foundation?
Yes, but the Aftermath Foundation, the video,
Produced.
the
Made.
documentary. That's the word I was looking
Yes.
for. An amazing story. The amazing story of Serge Obolensky, and really kind of, well, it's his story and how he went from being a member of the Sea Org to homeless to where he is today. No spoilers. Amazing video.
Amazing.
I know that there were, from what I understand, hundreds upon thousands of hours of video that Kelly Copter was the ultimate editor of and put together. And oh my God, if this thing,
Great job, Kelly.
it is
It
amazing,
was
amazing.
Kelly.
It was.
Huge kudos. It's just fantastic. So seriously, if you haven't seen that video yet, if it's on your list to get to this weekend, put it at the top of your list. As soon as we're done here today, go watch it. It's it's easy to find. You can find it on the
I've just posted the link to all of our
Oh, awesome.
there we go.
Awesome.
There we go.
so
Juliana
all
just
of
posted
our
the link.
channels. have the
Again,
link
no
there.
spoiler alerts, but have a box of tissues next
Bring your
to you.
tissues.
Phoenix. and also just a shout out to Mark and Claire. They just took so much care and gentleness with the story, and Mark
Yeah.
was just amazing the way he really just handled it with kid gloves and just really drew Serge out. I won't give it away, but yeah, it was just,
No, but no spoilers. You'll definitely understand more within 5 minutes of watching it.
Yes.
And yeah, it's just, Marilyn says, bring a box of tissues. If you're a dude, bring 2 boxes. I lost it last night, and it was fantastic.
Something else that I think is worth mentioning is that the show premiered in both. I posted the link to Blown for Good, to Mark's channel, but it also premiered on Aaron's channel, Growing Up in Scientology, and both of them are having the videos are having a fundraiser for the Aftermath Foundation. So during the pre-show, the premiere of the documentary and the post-show, we were able to raise $15,000. So kudos
Wonderful.
to the
Nice.
foundation
Wonderful.
and everybody who helped.
Yeah.
And the fundraiser keeps going, and the ad revenue from these videos are going all to the foundation. So watch it on both channels, watch it from different accounts, give them lots of watch hours because it's for a very good cause. Share it with your friends, share it with people, because it's that documentary is amazing, but it's like one of the many stories of people that the Aftermath Foundation helps.
Watch the post show too, obviously after you've watched the documentary, but it answers a lot more questions. It gives a lot more insight. There's a lot more about what the Aftermath Foundation is continuing to do, not only for Serge, but in general. And it gets a little loopy at the end because I think it's quite late at night by that point. Well, I know it was because I was there too, but and you know, and when
Everybody's
you're doing a
super silly
premiere,
at the
you got to
end.
have a couple drinks too. So it was it was a lot of fun. But there's so much insight that's that Mark and Claire and Kelly and
Amy and Matt and Mark
Fisher
Jackson.
and Jackson and Aaron all bring to the post show. So anyway,
it was very, very good. That's true.
That's our plug for that. And while we're speaking of plugs, to change the subject a little bit, I know Marilyn there has got some fancy gear. Look at look at that fancy Osa mugs.
Can you see the smells like poo part?
Look at that.
Nice.
Look at that. Osa smells like poo.
And where can I get one of those?
Well, hold on, because what I want to do is I want to show you this. Whether you're a southpaw, lefty like me, or a righty like other people, it's on both sides. So you can share this. You're at work and you go, look, I have my Osa mug. The tumbler too. Marilyn's got the tumbler in front of her.
Sorry, I'm not using it today because I got to use my Degraded Daughters of Dianetics ones.
Of course.
I have special made.
And then also, there's the Osa hoodie. The Osa hoodie. It's 90 degrees here in beautiful Colorado today, and I'm wearing a hoodie to promote the merchandise. You can find all of this fantastic Osa merchandise and a lot more at the Denver Steve-O merchandise store, which is Denver Steve-O shop. No, wait, Denver's. Oh, shoot.
Denver Steve-O dash.
Denver Steve-O. Thank you. Denver Steve-O dash shop SHOP .fourthwall FOURTHWALL.com. That's Denver Steve-O dash shop .fourthwall.com. Lots of fantastic merchandise. So there it is. There it is in the chat right now. Wonderful. But yeah, just check it out. Please also know that the first 50 transactions from the merch store get 15% off of their purchases. So, and that's, you don't have to have a code. You don't have to know anything special. You just go in, you place an order, and it automatically 15% will get pulled off. This stuff is shipping crazy fast. Most of the merchandise that was chosen is being manufactured in multiple locations, both in the U.S. And in Europe. So, and I believe also Australia. So, if you're in any one of those places, you'll get your merchandise relatively quick. Obviously, the further out you are, it might take a little bit longer. And shipping may vary, but yeah, swing on over, check it out, and place an order. Sorry. Place an order. That's all I got.
I was just checking to make sure our special guests are still with us.
Oh, they might have left. Sorry.
I just realized we were being long.
I asked for a minute to plug my stuff, and I think I went over like 10. So yeah. Okay. So anyway, with that, we have two wonderful special guests that Chad has already mentioned here today, and it's probably a great time to just bring them on right now. Yay. Let's bring on Jo Dusepo and Mark Turi.
There they are.
There they are. Hello. Hey guys.
Hello. Welcome.
Hi,
Mark and Joe. You can get merchandise too. I'm just kidding.
Okay, so anybody who's been here the past few weeks already know Mark, but maybe, Mark, you want to quickly reintroduce yourself for anybody who's coming for the first time this Saturday afternoon?
Sure. Yeah, my name is Mark Turi, and I was an ex-Scientologist for 3 years. Recruited into Scientology in May of 2005. I left in May of 2008. I spent 2 years as a public Scientologist, and then I spent 1 year on staff in Berlin, Germany, as well as San Francisco when I decided to leave. And I've been out since, again, May 2008. So I've been a regular on multiple channels throughout the SPTV community throughout the years. And this is now my third time with you guys. Correct?
Third?
Fourth. Oh my gosh, time goes by. Fourth
yeah,
time?
You're regular.
That's amazing.
Weekly thing. I love it.
Time flies. Time flies. So yeah, my fourth time, and and I'm always glad to be here. So thank you so much.
Thank you for coming back.
Thank you.
And we have Joe, who's debuted in the SPTV Never End thing on Chad's pre-show. But tell us a little bit about
I
yourself.
did, yeah. I was on there on Monday. Yeah, what do you want to know?
Just introduce yourself. Who you are, where you're from.
What do you want to tell
doing
us?
Here?
Right, my name's Joe. I'm from near London. I build and repair string instruments. That's my craft, I guess. I
Were you ever
have
in
some
Scientology?
Sorry?
Were you ever in Scientology or any cults?
I was not.
What brings
thankfully.
you here then?
So I do have some experience with another group, and I run a podcast which is all about coercive control with my friend and colleague Kai, and so yeah, there's various kind of interlocking interests there that brings me here. Yeah,
And I have a podcast too, right?
yes.
Tell us a little
And
bit
I'm also
about
a
it. What is
massive geek, which is probably why you've got me on with Mark.
it? But your podcast is also about coercive control and
Yes, yeah.
So if anybody in any of our streams, if you go to the description, you have all of our four of our channels, and Joe's channel, Joe's main channel, and Joe's podcast are both there if you want to check it out. And I'm just gonna listen to the geeks and try to learn
And
something.
hello to everyone
Hi,
who's
Jeff.
saying hello to me in the comments. I can't
Yes.
mention
We
you
have a
all,
lot of
but
people saying hello.
yeah. So hello, everybody.
Let me just say
Put
really
some
quick
comments up.
before Joe and Mark start here. Let me just say really quick. If you are watching us, and obviously you are because you're here, do us all a favor. Swing by all of our channels and click that like button. But it would be a great service to all of us if you ended up by viewing this on Marilyn's channel. Marilyn is the one right now that's looking for that needs watch hours to get her to a monetized state. So everybody, if you don't mind, press like on all of our channels.
Yeah.
But please just kick back and watch from Marilyn's channel for the day, and we would all greatly appreciate that for sure.
Goldie. Hello.
Goldie!
Hey.
Hey, Goldie.
Hey, Goldie. Oh, thank you. She's plugging my very first solo AMA tomorrow at noon Eastern.
Nice.
So a little
Yes.
programming note. And
Looking forward to watching
shameless
that.
plug.
Yeah,
Go
same
ahead.
here.
Yeah, I was seeing that Joel asked how my vacation went, and I will tell all tomorrow. If you want to hop on there and ask me, I will be happy to
Ooh,
tell you all about it.
Nice.
That's a nice teaser.
there's a teaser, yeah.
I got to figure out how to put
V.
pictures up. Hey!
Hey.
Cheers, V. Cheers, V.
Cheers! Cheers! I got my volcano and yarn tumbler. Yeah. So we got a comment for Joe already. I gotta put my glasses on if somebody else wants to read it.
OBG
message
Foster
from-
says, "Hi Joe, I'm the one who insisted on you watching Dimash videos. Waves.
I remember it. On Monday. Yes, the singer from Kazakhstan.
Oh, yep.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Okay, guys, so I have a question.
Sure.
We had the idea of bringing Mark and Joe together because on one of the streams a couple of weeks ago, we started talking about, I think it was the one about fundamentalism, that you were talking about fundamentalism. And then towards the end of the show, it became all geeky about languages and about Star Trek and about whatnot. By the way, Mark, thank you very much for the suggestions, recommendations of how to get started on Star Trek. I'm definitely going to get on that. And then Joe also, studies lots of languages and whatnot. And Mark speaks lots of languages and whatnot. And, I don't know. So I'm curious to see where you guys want to take this afternoon or this evening for you, Mark.
Sure. Up to you guys. I mean, we can start with pretty much anything. I think so. I just basics. That'd be interesting to hear how many languages and other languages Joe speak. Obviously, I know, Juliana, you speak Portuguese plus English. I don't know if you speak any other languages, maybe Spanish or something close to that. But yeah, I speak, like, okay, English is my first language. It was the first language I learned from school. Growing up in Canada, of course, Canadian English, American English, British English, they're all varieties, but of course it's the same language. But my second language is Hungarian, and I learned Hungarian a little bit when I was a kid, basically just enough to talk with my grandparents, but like nothing big, just yes and no, and here, maybe I knew 20, 25 words. But when the pandemic started in March of 2020, I decided to actually take courses and Hungarian courses online. And then I moved to Hungary in September of 2021. So through that time, I was learning online twice a week for about an hour. And then once I got here, I spent a year, basically doing what would be called a semi-intensive course. So I study for 4 hours a day, 3 days a week, so 12 hours a week total at a school from 9 to noon. And then since last September of 2022, I've been taking classes and doing my master's program. So it's become my second language. I use it pretty much every day. I have family that live in Budapest, so I converse with them as much as I can. Like professors, I try sometimes to speak, but normally it's just here and there stuff going around and whatnot. But then also in September, part of my master's program, it's called Central European Studies. And what we basically do is look at all the different neighboring countries of Hungary, not Austria, but to the north, to the south, and to the west, to the east, excuse me. And I chose to get involved in learning Romanian history, and so I'm learning Romanian as well.
I was going to ask, which are the other countries? To the north, to the east, to the south?
So Slovakia is in the north, and then Ukraine. There's a very small border with Ukraine, so I think it's only 80 miles or something. And then the larger one, of course, is Romania in the east, and then to the south we have Slovakia, Croatia, Slovenia, and then Austria to the west. So it's basically, we're smack right in the middle of Europe. Probably another interesting thing too is that there are a lot of Hungarian speakers in those neighboring countries. That after World War I, they were put into places like Czechoslovakia, Austria, Yugoslavia, and then Romania. And then, of course, the part that's in Ukraine right now used to be part of Czechoslovakia, and after World War II, it became part of the USSR. So there are somewhere around 14 million Hungarian speakers in the world, and there's around 9.7 million people in Hungary. Not everyone in Hungary speaks Hungarian as their first language, but it's the overwhelming majority. We still have a German community that lives here, and we also have a community of the Romani population, and they might be called gypsies in other cultures, but the preferable term is Romani. And they speak a language from northern India that has been kind of mixed with a whole bunch of different languages, but most people speak Hungarian. And then there's, over 1 million Hungarian speakers in Romania, and then there's several hundred thousands in Slovakia, and there's quite a few in Serbia. And then after that, there's sort of smaller communities in the other neighboring. And then after that, of course, there's Hungarian speakers in the United States, Canada, England, Germany, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, and also Brazil, Argentina, Venezuela, sort of kind of all over. And those are part of diaspora communities, or so to speak. So people that left, usually not just after World War I, World War II, but specifically after 1956. And so, yeah, but I've been a kind of a language geek for a very, very long time because, growing up, I didn't know the differences between like Hungarian and our neighbors. And then like my family didn't even really, they always said, oh, it's different. Maybe it comes from Asia or something. But I always thought that was interesting. But I really got more heavily involved when I was in high school, and then in college and university, to actually go through what the differences were and why they're so different. And then now it's been 2 years since I've been learning it, more than that, 2.5 years. Actually getting into the meat and potatoes of why it's different from the neighboring languages is actually really fascinating. And it is a very hard language. If I guess all of us, well, except for Juliana, Portuguese is your first language, but even if you speak another European language like Portuguese and English, Hungarian is one of the most difficult languages in the world to learn. And it's up there. It's not as difficult as Mandarin or Korean or Japanese, but it's kind of just the 1 degree shy of it. So it's put on to the level of difficulty of like learning Mongolian or Vietnamese or Thai. So it's pretty hard. And again, of all the languages in Europe, in continental Europe, maybe besides Turkish, but it is incredibly difficult. So yeah. So a very hard one to learn, but just because I have a familial connection with it, it's been really amazing to
Little easier, I think, also
to
too,
learn.
right?
Yeah.
Probably a little
Yeah.
easier too because you're familiar. Probably a little easier too because you're familiar
Yeah.
with some sounds and some.
Yeah, and the sounds and
All
stuff
right.
is not hard, but yeah, it's
Okay.
it's great. Yeah.
We have a question for you already, Mark. Or in a
Do
comment.
you want to take
Shoot.
that now?
What?
Okay. No.
Oh.
Go ahead.
I thought she asked to. Okay.
Go
But
ahead.
no,
Go ahead. No. Go ahead. Go
Okay.
ahead. Go ahead.
Selena Kalmeyer, I never say it right. I've been to Budapest. It's really cheap to visit as a Brit. It's also interesting. And there are these places called ruin bars, which are incredible. Can you tell people about those?
I've actually
You know
not
about
been to one, but from what I understand, there's like a lot of them. And I think that like people are allowed to like write and put their names on like bar stools and stuff. Like if you Google them, they literally are called ruin bars because you can like write your name into the table and you can like write your name into like bar stools and stuff. If I'm not mistaken, I could be completely wrong. I've never actually been to one before. But it's kind of it is a tradition, fairly newish tradition in Hungary, probably like post-Soviet era. So I know that they're very popular. And then yeah, Budapest is amazing. It's very inexpensive if you come from Western Europe, especially because the euro and the pound go a long way here. Accommodation is also not as expensive than Western Europe, and food and everything. So yeah, it's a nice, inexpensive vacation. There's also a heck of a lot to do here. There's a lot of museums and there's a lot of art galleries, and then there's like, because of the Danube, you can go on river cruises and river trips from Budapest to north or south of the river, which is gorgeous. And so almost every day we get boats of people from all over Western Europe, specifically usually from Germany, that come, and Switzerland, because of the access from the Danube, that come here. So yeah. But unfortunately, the ruin bar thing, I've just never been to one, so I'm sorry about that part. But do come. It's a gorgeous city.
It's K Mauer, just Maryland, just
sorry.
as a pronunciation. K and Mauer like hour.
I never remember that.
I just remember that. I've never been to Budapest, but the George Ezra song has made me want to go to Budapest because it's a catchy song. I think Jethro Tull also had a song called Budapest too, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. My grandmother on my mother's side comes from, this is not Hungary, but comes from a large Serbian family. My great grandmother was actually born in Yugoslavia. Is it the former? Is it currently Yugoslavia or was it Yugoslavia?
No.
It is now.
Yeah.
The former. Okay, that's right.
Former Yugoslavia, yeah.
That's right. Because the whole Serbo-Croat. Yeah.
They
so
broke
she
up in
was-
'92.
That's right. So they were Serbians. So I always got to hear my grandmother and her sisters, and when I'm saying big family, it was 13 girls and one boy. and he was the youngest. So I felt for him. But they would always talk Serbian, and I, as a kid, I'm like, speak English, blah 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 blah, whatever. And but now that I'm getting older, there's certainly a part of that that I really want to kind of revisit. There are none of them left. So, and that's a big part of me. The other part is Irish from my grandfather, and then from my other side. So, but the Serbian side seems to have gotten lost, and so I'm very curious about that language. You've scared me to it now, Mark, by saying it's just
Serbian
slightly under
easier.
Mandarin. Serbian's easier?
No, that's Hungarian. That's Hungarian. So Serbian is a Slavic language, so it's much different from Hungarian. But you have to honestly, so they have a different alphabet. It's called the Cyrillic alphabet, but it's really not that hard to learn. But it's easier than it will have its challenges. It will have its difficulties, like every language does. Even if it's considered an easy language, they'll still have things that will be difficult. But it's much more manageable. But even Hungarian is manageable. Any language that you really want to learn, that you're really dedicated into learning, and you have a motivation to learn, will be easy overall, because you'll want to actually learn it. Whereas I know as a kid, I had to learn French in school, and I don't know French and don't really like French too much, just because we were forced to learn it in school and I didn't like it. So for me, French is hard because I have no real connection to it. But if you have a family connection to Serbian, I'd say, give it a shot.
I never thought about that. Right. Of course, being from Canada, the two national languages, English and French, and I never it never even hit me, because I, being in the US, I got to choose. I'm like, do I want to take French classes? Do I want to take Spanish classes? Do I want to take German classes? And I even think by high school they were even teaching like Russian there. Now I know high schools have so many more. Never even thought about that you're right. You're kind of probably put into that scenario where you're forced to learn the other national language so you can read the other side of the bag of ketchup chips.
It's pretty true. It's always,
And what about you, Joe? I want to hear from Joe too.
Yes, Joe's turn.
Obrigada, Juliana. Thank you. So my native language is English. Unfortunately, no, not really. So my second language is German. I speak German and Esperanto reasonably well. And I speak basic Portuguese, Spanish, Romanian, a little bit of Norwegian, but that's kind of faded a bit now. And I'm currently learning Farsi.
Oh, wow.
So there we go.
Wow.
And she always speaks Portuguese to me in chat and everywhere. She's always practicing her Portuguese. That's also something that relates to what Mark was saying. If you like it, if you want to do it, we practice.
Estou só aprendendo. Desculpe.
Mas tá aprendendo e tá praticando, tá certo?
Hey, none of that here.
Pretty.
Let me try out my German to you really quick, Joe. Mein Onkel ist krank, aber die Straße ist grün.
Your uncle is ill, but the street is green. Why is the street green?
Probably because he's ill.
Warum ist es grün?
He may have made it green. I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Anyway,
darf ich auf die Toilette gehen? I learned that in 3 years of German in high school.
Ja, du kannst natürlich. Es ist hinter dir, oder?
Yeah, it was, may I please go to the bathroom?
Yeah,
you want to go to the toilet? You want to go to the bathroom? Yeah.
That's pretty much all I got.
Yeah, I got that.
Years of German. So there we go. There we go. Thank you.
I just wanted to add some context to what Mark was saying as well about. So one of the reasons that Hungarian is so much more difficult to learn. So all of these languages which I've learned are classed as Indo-European languages, including Farsi, right? And Hindi is also an Indo-European language. But Hungarian is an Ugaric language. Ugaric? I don't know how to pronounce that. But basically, it originates from Central Asia. And around kind of the year 1000 AD, it came into Europe via various invasions from Central Asia. And the only other European languages which have any relation to it are Finnish and Estonian. And even those aren't that closely related to Hungarian. Hungarian's kind of a different branch from Finnish and Estonian. So that's why it's so difficult to learn. I got some questions come in as well. That I just wanted to say thank you very much to both Kim Di Heya or Kim Di Hai, and there we go.
Some comments here.
And Kelly as well. I'd like to say thank you to Kelly, who both said very kind things about my music and my instruments. So thank you both. And there was some questions as well, but
there's this. We have this comment here from President Precious says, "Welcome to the SP community, Joe."
Thank you, Freeze.
And then we have, I think it's still Vanessa, right? It was Vanessa that was here. I think it's Vanessa. Go ahead, Marilyn. Would you want to read
it? Someone else go first.
Sure.
I'm talking too much.
So Vanessa has a question. I think it's Vanessa. Which word do you think from your past cult still is the most hard to unlearn? That's a good question.
Great question.
Oh, this is interesting. I was going to say something like that when Mark said, my first language is English. I said, my second is Hungarian. I'm like, what about Scientology? Isn't that your second language?
Yeah, actually, Vanessa also said tonight they have their live stream. I think it's at 9:00 Eastern. And she said they'll be discussing her first language Scientology.
Okay,
yes.
We'll talk about
We'll get to that.
We'll get up. We'll get to that, and then we'll get to
If no one else has anything popped into their head right now, I can probably comment to this a little bit.
Sure. I don't have a cult language to.
I have something.
Learn, so.
Okay, go ahead, Joe. You're the guest. Go for it. Definitely.
So 2 words which come into my mind are, well, particularly first one be ego, and the other one be compassion. But these are words which are twisted, so in a different kind of meaning. You know how they do. Anyway, sorry, Marilyn, what's your one?
Would you like to explain to a little bit how the meaning was different in your context? If it's not too complicated to explain, because sometimes it is.
Yeah, it's kind of complicated. So I guess ego is defined as not self-sacrifice. I guess to put it in the most simple way. If you're doing something for yourself, or that's defined as egotistical.
Okay.
Yeah.
And compassion was the other one you said? That was used in a twisted way?
Yeah, that's kind of more difficult to go into without explaining the whole.
That's okay. We'll have time for that.
System, but yeah, I was going to say, hopefully, I think me and Marilyn are gonna.
Yeah, hopefully, I'd like to hear more from that some other time.
And Kelly, but yeah, anyway.
Yeah, I think that cults tend to twist a lot of words, a lot of meanings, because I don't know why, but it just seems to be across the board. So many things that were like a good thing sounds like a bad thing, and vice versa. So, let's see if that's me. No, okay.
You were saying you don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know why it is. Sorry, I thought I had some feedback.
It's a control mechanism.
Yes, it is. And it's also, it just keeps you off kilter. And there were so many words like suffering was supposed to be good. And it's probably along the lines of things like ego and compassion, which can be a good thing, of course. Mm-hmm. But I'm even thinking about even Scientology. Reasonableness was a bad thing. And the same with in my cult as well, is that anything that was like being merciful or being deferring to somebody, that was shown as weakness, and you had to always be for the good of the group. So there's so many words that come along with it. So, is anyone else hearing that feedback, or is that me?
I'm not hearing anything.
May just be hearing a little bit of Juliana's waterfall.
Shut up.
No, I'm serious. There may be just a hint of it. It's not bad.
I can turn it off. I thought it was.
Is it okay? Is it clear?
It's better now. I can hear like running water, but that's all right.
Yeah, so that's what it is. I'm gonna turn it off.
It's okay. I
good.
had some fuzz too. That was me.
So something that particularly, and this is something we've talked about on my podcast, is that if you control someone's language, you control the way they think. And that's an important mechanism which is used by these groups. And I mean, in a more mundane kind of way, you know, there's in a less harmful way, I should say, I've noticed this with learning other languages, is you have kind of ways of saying things. And that kind of, I think this is also something people who speak lots of languages, they do kind of code switching. And this is a thing that happens because there'll be something which you go, oh, I want to explain it in this way, right? But that's how it's said in, for instance, German, and it doesn't make sense in English. And so you get this code switching thing going on, and it's the same process, but kind of used against somebody.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it anyway.
Yeah, and I think another tactic is what they call in the cultosphere is the thought terminating cliches. So if you say something like, "Oh, I'm wondering about taking this job over that job or whatever," I would get, "Well, just trust God or just seek God's will. The Lord will show you." And often it was the cult leader that would show us, not the Lord, you know? So it wasn't your own self. It was more like you just, put that on the shelf, or just don't worry about anything because your life will be mapped out for you. So it just would basically, terminate your thoughts. It was just awful. After a while, you just got tired of fighting it,
This is something, and to Joe's point about controlling the language to kind of control the thoughts. This is also something that very much we see in what I call the corporate cult that I have been a party to for the last 20 years or so. Terminology, things like well, I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head here. Oh, something like synergies. You talk about corporate synergies. What does that mean? It essentially means layoffs, absorbing things into other groups, and shrinking the workforce within a corporation. But it's a synergy. Yeah, we're making synergies. This is a great thing. There's also oh shoot, I just drew a blank to it, and I just had it off the top of my head. But the essentially the idea that you walk into an office, or you walk into a boardroom, or whatever, a team management meeting or something, and you argue and you debate and you fight over what the next steps of the strategy, of the company's strategy, are going to be. But essentially the idea is by the time you walk out of that room, everybody alignment is my favorite, because it essentially, alignment means that at the end of the day, regardless of what your feelings are, you are accepting, whether you like it or not, the final decision that's been made, and you have to go out and sell that alignment to your staff, and to your employees, to your customers, to whomever else. Even if it's the worst idea in the world, you walk out of that decision-making room going, yes sir, that's the way to go. And alignment is a horrible one. But these are terms that really are set to do just that, right? To they sound good. Oh no, we're all in alignment here. We're rah 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 team. This is the way to go. While you're sitting there going, what in the F did I just? What do I have to convey to these people? Usually I have to convey to them synergies, which means some of them might be out of a job in 3 months. So, I mean, the corporate cults are the corporate, which I do think each corporation creates its own cult mentality in a lot of ways. There's a lot less freedom once you're there, but of course you can leave.
Yeah, it's not like a full-blown destructive cult.
It's
But it can
not,
be-
but you can leave, but that means you have to go find something else. And
Yeah.
it's destructive insofar as,
It is
well,
destructive. Right?
I have a job, I have a paycheck, I have benefits, and I can like it, or I can leave and not have those things and
Yeah.
have to worry about finding them again. So, there's similarities. I'm not saying
There's
I
similarities.
will never say it's the same thing as a destructive cult, but there is some coercive control in there for sure. Which, is
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah.
What about you, Chad? What are some of your MLM language things that, or is there anything that you had a hard time?
Well, I
getting
was
rid
trying.
of?
Well, I wasn't in the MLM that long, but I was more years ago. I did have not a corporate job, but job similar to what Denver Steve was saying, and basically along the similar lines. If you weren't, never to me, it was never a question, but if somebody wasn't, they would if somebody didn't want to go along, well, then they weren't being a team player.
Mm-hmm.
So they would use stuff along, and it was ridiculous. Trying to make somebody
MLMs
come in when they're sick as a dog. But yeah, no, MLMs. I'm trying to think. But that jogged my memory when Steve was saying.
Okay. I thought about the MLM because I know
trying to think
MLMs
what-
are quite culty too, but
Yeah, no, yeah, it was. I was in the MLM, and it was not to the degree, so I don't want to, overshadow the stuff that real people go through. I just lost a little money, no big deal, but you had, everyone had to agree, pretty much had to agree to, whatever the leader, was saying. It was great, and it was really same deal. You pretty much did what the leader was, and they're all similar. It's where you go to the hotels and they do the speech, and I can't think of too much specifically though.
all right. We have two questions now here that are for Joe, which are like the same in one. First, Kim Jae says, Joe, how long have you been involved with string instruments? And then Joel McCoy also says, I think I heard Joe say she makes instruments. So how did you get started doing that? So how did you get started and how long have you been doing it?
So in terms of being involved with instruments, basically my whole life has been my obsession. I don't know if I could pinpoint a time I started being involved with them, but in terms of building them, let me see, that would have been around 2007 or 8, I think I started building them. And then 10 years later in 2017, I went full-time, started the business. So.
And which instrument did you start building? What was the first instrument you learned how to build?
Oh, the first one would have been something like a ukulele, something simple.
The toxic gossip train.
And she plays them really well too.
Oh, you're talking about Joe? I was making fun of Colleen Ballinger.
Oh, sorry. She plays them really well too.
You're too kind. You're too kind. Juliana, I had this samba song come into my head earlier about the Anjos da Capibaras.
Oh, that was so funny. I have to check that out again. Oh my gosh.
Sorry, I'm derailing things. Carry on.
No, you can play it. You can sing it too. We'll have to do something about that sometime.
Well, she's good. I'm not to put you on the spot, Joe, but are you coming to the pre-show again this Monday?
Maybe. So it's like 10 p.m. my time, isn't it?
Probably.
I think. Yeah. So basically, I'm taking this week off work, and I'm not taking next week off work. So. Also,
I love it that's for
Clearwater Chad.
Yep.
Oh,
nice.
That's right.
So that's her Clearwater blouse.
Well, I'll send you an invite, and if you want to come, let's give it an open invite.
Yeah, totally. And if you'd like to talk about MLM stuff on my podcast, get in touch as well.
Oh, definitely. Okay.
Oh, and anybody who hasn't checked Joe's podcast yet, she has already interviewed Chris
Yeah.
Shelton and Apostate Alex.
Oh,
So
yeah, would love
check
to.
it out.
Fantastic.
To be a pedant, I think Kai did those 2 interviews, but I was doing the sound engineering for them.
Awesome.
Wow.
But I thought you interviewed Alex, right?
I did, but well, we interviewed Alex. So my colleague Kai does half the interviews and I do the other half.
Because I thought Kai had interviewed Chris and then you had interviewed Alex. That's the way I remember it, but I'm not sure.
I think Kai did both of those 2, and I did the JW one and another one, and it doesn't matter.
Anyway,
I'm just being a
she's
pedant.
involved.
Anyway.
She's involved.
Yes.
What's the name of her podcast?
Name my podcast is Under the Influence, and if you go on, yeah, I know, right? If you go on YouTube, it's YouTube / at Under the Influence, and it's got underscores between each of the
It's
Juliana,
in the
I'm sure will.
description. It's in the description.
It's in the description. There we
It's
go.
in the
Juliana's
description
got
of
us
the
covered
video.
as always, right?
Julie's magic.
Juliana is always one step ahead.
Yeah, definitely.
Sometimes.
Arena.
No, it's in the description. Anybody who wants to check that out, in the description of any of our streams, you're gonna find Joe's personal / professional YouTube and her podcast also.
Okay, cool.
Marilyn, take it away.
Okay. Jeff, just an FYI, the story of Serge Obolinski now has over 37,000 views, and the fundraiser is up to 19,000 now.
Wow.
Awesome job to all involved.
Wonderful.
Amazing.
Wonderful.
So just again, a reminder
Yes,
for anybody who wasn't
awesome.
here at the beginning, if you just watch the documentary, you're already helping the foundation because ad revenues are going to the foundation. So keep helping and thank you,
Oh,
everybody.
definitely. Yeah. Keep watching it too.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if you
Yeah,
haven't
watch
watched it yet, watch it next after
Yep.
we're done.
With Kleenex. Yeah.
With
tissues
Kleenex.
by your
Lots
side.
and lots of tissue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't get the rough generic stuff. Get the soft lotion stuff. So you'll need it because you'll use it a lot.
And that is also available on Denver Steve-O's eShop.
What, Kleenex?
What, the
Yeah.
Kleenex?
I'm
I
just,
don't have Kleenex yet, but if they
Doesn't have
if they
Kleenex
were
yet,
available,
Blake.
I would.
It has
I
pillows.
do have pillows, so you can cry
Oh,
into your
cool.
pillow for sure.
that'll work.
As long as
Could
you're
you-
okay
could
with
you-
the pillow that says "I slept with Denver Steve-O" or "I slept with Steve-O."
Could you sell toilet paper with OSA on it?
Oh,
I
that's a
hope
great
so.
idea.
I'll try.
That is a
Yeah.
great idea.
I doubt
That's a-
they'll make that though.
I'm sure not.
Not Fourth Wall makes that.
Well, my cup says OSA smells like poo, so why not have some toilet paper?
Well, as I learned when I TP'd my high school German teacher's house, if you take a roll of toilet paper and you take a big thick black highlighter and you just deeply kind of press through and make the words, they'll bleed through quite a bit. So if you want them to say OSA, just grab that black not black highlighter, black permanent marker, and
Right.
just write OSA really thick, and you'll probably get a good quarter of the roll before you have to do it again. So, and to Frau Carlson out there, yes, it was me.
Sorry,
I admit now,
Oh, wow.
30 years later. So. Okay, questions. All right.
Okay. You do this,
Steve-O,
Steve-O. You know
you
how
can
to
read it.
you know how to say your name.
Selena Kamauer points out ruin bars are places where small bars, eateries, art projects, and DJs open up in an old ruined or rundown industrial building. No health and safety, but really, really cool. That would be cool.
Yeah, thank you. I had no clue.
Until it fell down.
Just
on your
not
head.
something
That
I've
would be
done.
wonderful.
Yeah, I'm more into the traditional, what we call should has, which are beer houses. But appreciate.
What it should has it sounds like something else.
Shit houses? Is that-
Yeah, should has.
Yeah, should has. I mean,
Should
beer
has.
house.
Yeah.
Should has beer houses. Yeah, it sounds a little weird. I know should is
Oh, I have a question for Mark, if I may. How do you pronounce the long umlaut on the U?
It's exactly the same as the short ones. So we have an
Ah.
O with double dots, which is like in German, you know this word, the
Yeah.
and the two accents is it's just longer, and then we have U and U. So
Like
it's
French.
just you hold it
Cool.
just a little longer. So for example, I'll give you a word. The word for fire in Hungarian is spelled T-U with two accents, and then I guess from Great Britain you'd say Z or Z for our American, but we pronounce it tuz. So you actually have to hold the U a little bit longer.
Tuz.
Tuz.
Okay.
If it was just two
Tuz.
dots, it would
Okay.
be tuz, and that would be a different word. And we also
Interesting.
have the word for cook. Cook is fuse, which is the long So it's just it's just however they decided it, whoever created the spelling. Instead of putting two of the same vowels together, which is what they do in Finnish and Estonian, they'll put like two O's with double dots or two U's with double dots together,
Yep.
and that does the same thing. For us, they invented the double accents, which is actually really kind of cool, but same sound. And
Okay,
then
so the long umlaut is just a double accent, really.
yeah, exactly. The umlauts
Yeah,
and double accents.
interesting.
So the umlaut is short, and the double accents is just longer. Same exact sound.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Guys, before we move on to the next question, I just wanted to say something. I tried to post a link and it was too long, so it automatically broke down into parts. So if you see a link that's not working in a bunch of letters, please ignore that. I can't delete those from back here. I would have to go into the channels and individually and delete them. So any moderators in any channels, if you want to delete those, like one that's going to look like this and another one that's going to look like this, go ahead and do that. I'm making a short link to share soon, and that is I'm gonna just, since I'm talking about this is about this here. If you want to read it, Marilyn,
Sure. This is probably from Vanessa, Degraded Daughters of Dianetics. If anyone wants to help a second-generation Scientologist to save her father, please donate and share this link. The Aftermath Foundation is unable to help at this time, but they will help Bob when we get him. So there's a GoFundMe. Is that the link that we were trying to share?
Yeah, I'm gonna share it now. I created a short version.
And another way to help is you can go to, I know that Blown for Good merch shop is selling these. There's t-shirts, there's Save Bob Ferris t-shirts, there's stickers. I got this in the mail today or this morning.
So your
from
mouse
my
pad?
mouse. Yes.
Nice.
Yes. Because since I live in the holler and like having a t-shirt, I mean, who's going to see it? The moose and so I thought this is a really good reminder. Every time I look down at my mouse, I'll see that. And
everybody loves mugs, and there's Bob Ferris mugs. I'm waiting for mine to come too. I've become a SPTV mug collector now. I was never a mug collector before, but they're just so much fun and take up so much space.
These
so
are great size too. I like big ones.
They have pay attention when you're ordering your mugs. This is the pro tip of the day. There's two size mugs out there. There's the 11 ounce and there's the 15 ounce. And if you have the choice of getting the 15 ounce, which is what Marilyn and I both have here with the OSA mugs, hold a lot more coffee. I mean, if you want to fill this thing up, that's almost 2 full cups, or a good cup with some sugar and creamer in there if that's the way you want to go. The 11 ounces are tinier, probably good for some sips of water, if you're just a small coffee drinker. But the 15 ounce mugs for the whatever $2 extra is always the way to go. I know a few of them products out there don't come in 15 ounce, and that's okay too. But make sure if you've got the choice, go for that 15 ounce mug. Pro tip.
And any of the Bob Ferris, I'm just gonna say any of the Bob Ferris merch or the GoFundMe will go towards helping him get out of captivity, basically, is what it
Yeah.
is. Unfortunately.
Yeah, Mark and Claire are separating those sales from their standard Blown for Good sales, and all of that, all of those proceeds are going to Save Bob.
I'm sorry, what were
And,
you going to say, Joe?
I was just going to say, for everyone outside of the USA, 15 fluid ounces, US fluid ounces, is approximately half a litre, just under.
Thank you.
That helps me
That's
a lot, actually.
great to know. That really is. Yeah.
And I posted. I know the moderators are also They posted the GoFundMe link. For some reason, they were able to post it in one thing. I wasn't, so I created this short, tiny URL link. So anybody, you can just copy this, because it's just, what is it, 7-8 letters after tinyurl.com/ and those letters and numbers, or you can just click on the links that are all over the chats right now, and every little thing helps if you can help. If you can't help, you can help in other ways.
And the GoFundMe, there's a whole description of, what the situation is, the history, and where the funds are going to be allocated. So, if you're wondering, there's a whole explanation. It's a good cause. Yeah. So let's get back to some questions. Juliana, did you want to?
No.
Okay. I don't want to click over people, so I just wanted to.
We're gonna double tapper's gonna double tap.
I'm really good at double tapping over people and talking over people.
Me too.
So.
Me too.
Okay. Speaking of charities, Goldie, did you know that Facebook lets you choose a charity and raise money for your birthday, and the Aftermath Foundation is an option? I did see someone do that on our Facebook group. That's awesome. So that's definitely an option.
That's great.
See if I have another question. We haven't heard from Mark in a while. I want to see if we got one. A lot of Joe. Joe, you're very popular. You're very new. That's awesome. Okay. There was
Well, let me just show. Let me just.
Oh yeah, there was.
I was just going to say really quickly. Let me show my mistake here, and so I was also wrong. It's Kai, not K. So Kaimauer rhymes with by hour. So I apologize, Selena. I will stick that somewhere in my head and hope it doesn't get lost. But I'm there. Thank you.
Great. So we were talking about the language of cults, and we said we will be doing our best to translate our first language of Scientology, per usual, later on tonight. So that's 9 o'clock Eastern.
We'll be there.
Yep, definitely.
9 o'clock Clearwater time.
Yeah. And Veronica Bombria says, "Hola, Juliana. So happy you've got a channel."
Yeah, so for anybody who doesn't know yet, I changed my handle and I changed the name of my channel, my thing. So there's a channel brewing, I would say. There's an idea brewing that started to appear in Steve-O's Wednesday night at Zenu Nation show with Steve-O. And the idea is still forming, I would say, but it's something to do. Probably I'd like to discuss the lore of Scientology, all those questions that people are like, oh, but how did what are the differences of the BTs and the Thetans, and all those questions that I've seen lots of videos and things about. So
it's great.
I'll probably do something like that, but very informal. It's not something that I want to do. I don't want to speak for Scientologists or ex-Scientologists or anything like that. It's more in the point of view as somebody who finds it interesting, because even though I find Scientology despising, I find the fact that it has a language and a whole history, and the fact that we're trying to understand, I find those things quite interesting, and I think that's something that I would be interested maybe in exploring. Maybe I'll have Mark on, to teach a little bit about things. I don't know. It's just I don't have any form yet, but we came up with a name, which was the theologian of Scientology, but instead of a theologian, because theologians are serious people that study religions, and we're talking about the lore of science fiction of Scientology. So I've never been a Scientologist, but I'm a self-proclaimed Scientologist, and that's the name. That's the name of the channel.
To be
really
clear,
see.
we were discussing on Wednesday whether Xenu was good or bad, and of course, my argument is Xenu is anti-Scientology.
You were calling him the creator.
He was the
And then I said he's not the
anti-Scientologist,
creator.
and he flew planes, and he essentially brought these BTs or brought these Thetans to Earth, and those are what make us up. Therefore, those created us. So there were at least one person that was debating that he was not the creator and was not the all benevolent great man that the Xenu Nation celebrates him to be. Therefore, this came about, and so I am a strong supporter of Juliana's new channel as long as all arguments are taken objectively and with no bias, one form or another, and that at the end of the day, Xenu is found to be a great and wonderful homeboy and creator.
Oh, Xenu's my homeboy,
Yeah.
but he's not the creator.
He created.
We're gonna have that debate.
He created.
He's not the creator. He is, but he's not.
He created.
So we have another comment for Joe. Free Xenu Project says comment. I think you're right, Joe. We as people think in language. So if a cult changes meaning to words, they can control how people think, being their control mechanism. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's a really good point.
Mm-hmm.
And another one, Vanessa said, don't look at N theta. Do you want to explain that, Mark? You probably know better what the definition of
Yeah, N means to interbulate. So to interbulate your theta. And essentially it means don't look at anything critical of Scientology, anything that will make you upset or cause you to sort of doubt your affiliation, that, Scientology is the most ethical group on the planet. So any news piece or book or article or whatever, or something you listen to or hear on the radio that makes you confused and question the dogma of Scientology will interbulate your thetan. And that's what N theta means. And yes, it is a thought-stopping technique. Don't watch Going Clear. That's N theta. Don't listen to SPTV because that's N theta. Don't read Face Messiah. That's N theta. But basically, all it is it's stopping you from making a free and objective choice with your own life and evaluating whether or not Scientology is actually doing what it says it's doing. So just don't read anything critical.
Right. I think that's probably common in a lot of cults, because I got to the point where, anything like even reading like Little Women or watching a really like a rated G movie was bad, because then you weren't focused on the objective and the language and the mission and the purpose of us being alive. Right. So anything that even was fluff was eventually banned. And I remember, can't remember if it was Jackson or maybe another int base Sea Org member that said at one point, Dave Miscavige had gone to L. Ron Hubbard and said, everybody's watching TV on the base. So it was like, oh, they're turning into zombies. So they went and just confiscated all of their TVs. And I'm sure that was a sad day. But yeah, that just really stinks.
Free Xenu Project has a comment or a question. I don't know. So, Mark, you're saying David Miscavige is in theta?
Well, my opinion is okay. I don't think there's anything called SPs or PTS, but I would say David Miscavige is an SP and that L. Ron Hubbard was PTS, and both of the major sources of their problems was Scientology. So it makes you into what they think is evil, so then they can point their finger back at you, and when they kick you out and essentially they build you up to something that they want you to be, but when you start criticizing, they just kick you to the curb. So and that's by design. also.
All right.
Interesting.
Steve-O, you want to read that one? It's about corporate cults.
Oh yeah, Jeff says, "Wow, I never thought about the corporate cult aspect. Interesting. I worked for AT&T for 21 years, and was cut loose in a forced reduction of 80% of the manpower in 2018. I thought I would retire from AT&T. Yeah, right. They bought DirecTV and didn't have room for you, I bet. Yeah, I'm from the same. I'm actually from peripherally the same industry, telecommunications, managed services, and I watch it all the time. And you know, whether it's our company, whether it's another company in the industry, you know, this is a very culty and very forgive the term, inbred industry. So many people know each other within it. So many people have worked with somebody, you know, to the left or to the right of them, but yeah, there's constantly that realizing of synergies, and oftentimes those synergies are realized without a significant part of the people who, you know, make things happen. So you're 100% right. And it's, yeah, I think a lot of us, you know, I mean, yeah. Now my question to you, Jeff, were you able to, I guess I'm not 100% sure of your age, so forgive me. If you have now retired, were you able to retire from the industry? Or if you didn't, are you back in the industry? Are you still within that, you know, telecommunications culture? That would be, I would be interested, because I know how I've seen it, you know, in my 20 plus years in the industry. So I'd be wondering, you know, if you're seeing similar, if it's similar in your situation. But anyway, I get you 1,000%. So, and I feel for you, and I'm hoping that all is good now. So.
Yep. All right. So Lori Plays says, but we can put everything in cult category though, can we? But by what I hear at times, my job in law enforcement was a cult. It wasn't, but we had our own language, and I had to do what the sheriff says, etc. So yeah, I mean, there is a certain amount of groupthink. I know that, and that's healthy and necessary in the military, and you know, so many different groups. I think where it goes wrong is when it starts to kind of make the switch of being like, it's controlling you, it's controlling other aspects of your life, it's making you taking away your individuality, your own critical thinking, your own thought processes. I mean, there's a certain amount of questioning that you should be able to do. There's some things that are cut and dry with, especially with a job, but I know Poe on the Go talks about this a lot, because he was in law enforcement for 30 something years, and a certain amount of that is necessary. But yeah, I mean, cult, we talked about this last week, I think, right? Or the week before. I wasn't here last week for the Saturday, but about cult meaning culture, you know. So there's a certain amount of, you know, I guess conforming to a certain culture, but the group think can be damaging.
And that's what Stephen Hassan talks about in his book too, right? Is you know, in his example, if you've seen him even do a visual interview, you know, he talks about how he likes what is it? It's not snorkeling. It's
Scuba diving.
Scuba diving. Yeah, Steve Hassan's a big scuba diver.
That's right.
And he talks about that being, you know, very culty at the same time, but it's not a coercive or a negative cult. You know, and yeah, sure, everything can be broken up and looked at in a cultic, and that's not a word, but in a cult-like scenario. There's always going to be, yeah, we've got our own language, and yeah, there's this part and that part, but it's really when it starts to become kind of a negative, controlling aspect to your life, and you're losing, ultimately losing freedoms as a result of it, that it really becomes a problem. But yeah, I mean, everything can be referred to as a cult because of just that. It's part of a culture. You are part of a law enforcement culture. Steve Hassan is part of a scuba diving culture. I am part of a telecommunications culture. But you do see in some of those situations, there are some times where elements are become very negative, and you know, that's when you have to really start asking the question: is this a healthy place for me? And ultimately, that question is, can I get out? And if you can, and you're finding it negative, that's probably the right time to get out. So.
Exactly. And then we go back to the podcast that Marilyn and I always talk about. Amanda Montel's and Issa Medina's podcast sounds like a cult, in which they talk about things that are not cults, that are not full-blown cults, but some are, but they talk about lots of things that aren't, but they have cult-like characteristics here and there.
Right.
So yeah, it's very interesting.
Right. Everything from the Apple cult to, you know, I mean, everything
Peloton.
can be. Yeah.
They have lots of just corporate culture they talk about. There's a lot. Highly recommend. It sounds like a cult.
Steve-O just started a Xenu cult, and Vanessa says, thanks for the meat body, Xenu.
Nice.
I love it.
Love that.
All right. It was a Brady Bunch reference here. You guys should do, Creepy B5, hi. You guys should do the Brady Bunch thing where you pretend to look at each other, looking up, etc. Like,
everybody look at another square fast. Somebody screenshot this. Got it?
There you go.
I hope somebody got that.
Chad was just sitting back. He was looking at all the squares.
Wait a minute. Let's do this again. Somebody,
I didn't get it.
Somebody can. Let's take this out. Somebody look a point somewhere else. I'll look down to Marilyn. Then somebody please take a screenshot of this. Okay, if nobody did, we'll just go back and
Flip it.
go back and,
play the video and screenshot.
That's right.
There we go. Okay. Deviant Outcast question: how to help if you don't have friends, connections, money, space, living quarters, car? Any ideas? So this may be in regards to the Aftermath Foundation. Depending on where you live, if you have an org near you, you can print some Aftermath cards right off of a PDF file from the aftermathfoundation.org. They have place where you can print them. You can request some free ones. They'll send them to you in the mail. You can, if you were an ex-Scientologist or are an ex-Scientologist and you still get their mailing, their mailers, you can mail some back. Just watching SPTV and supporting, giving watch hours, that helps. Everything helps the cause. If you live in the U.S. and you have representatives that you can write to, email, call to help get the tax exempt status revoked. There's lots of different things you can do.
Now she's saying that she doesn't have any orgs close by. She's a never end, but that's okay because that's my case too. I don't have any orgs nearby. I'm a never end, and what I do is I try to listen to stories of survivors, hold space, be there for them. It's more the intention, I think, and it's also like, what can you do? Like some people can donate money, some people can donate time, some people can hold space for others. It's like if you really want to do a little bit, that you're helping already, I think, in my opinion. Of course, it's not going to be the same as, somebody who's like Mark and Claire, who are out there doing beautiful, amazing things, but they're doing that with the help of everybody that's involved with the foundation, all the volunteers, and my opinion.
Definitely. All right, Juliana, I understand brewing. I am hours away from starting.
Yeah,
Oh,
so Kim has been hinting at this channel for a
Yes.
couple months now.
yes, that's awesome. Can't wait.
Very good. Yeah.
See, I have already had Marcus says this is helping. So yeah, I think it's some kind of support and connection, right?
Thank you, Marcus.
Since Kim was on the screen, I just wanted to say thank you for your kind words earlier as well.
Oh, nice. Devo,
Hey there.
Jeff.
Oh, good. Response from Jeff. I'm still a technical project manager and I work contract work. Gotcha. I make almost twice as that's what I made while in the cult of AT&T. So all is good. Good.
Wow.
Good. That's so glad to hear that. Oh, and Jeff, Jeff also follows up. Telecom is such a small world. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Regardless of where you are in the country / world, it's very small. So understood. There was another comment about how, and it just, I think we accidentally bumped it here, and that's okay.
Oh.
That's okay. Badass coffee in an Osa smells like poo mug tastes excellent. So go to badasscoffee.com. Check out the great flavors. Grab a bag. I would say if you're near one of the 30 brick and mortar locations, to drive on by, maybe get a nice blended drink or a cold press or something like that. If you're not, order a bag, try a bag first, and then if you really like it, order a subscription. But and then definitely drink it in your Osa smells like poo mug, and you won't be disappointed. You'll love the way their coffee tastes. They guarantee it. So,
Are they paying you to say this?
you
just like it.
It's really good coffee, and if we get enough people to buy it, Badass Coffee of Hawaii, sponsor me, guys. I love your stuff. So,
okay.
Good.
Degraded Daughters of Dianetics, Vanessa. This was in reference to what can we do to help, right? Send messages of encouragement and solidarity to Liz and her family.
yes.
Let them know that they are not alone in their fight against the oppressive practices of Scientology. Absolutely. And if anyone's on Discord or Facebook, we have a group called, not to plug my group, but it's Coffee Cults and Crafts. Coffee Cults and Crafts. It's a growing, pretty thriving Facebook group. And Liz actually started a thread on her own, and there's dozens of people in there, and she keeps everyone updated. It's wonderful. It's just she's just such a sweet person, and she takes questions and keeps everybody on the loop, and it's amazing. So if anybody does have Facebook, if not, I'm sure you can reach her some other way. I don't think she has a channel yet, but she will be on. You can ask her tonight. She'll be on the Degraded Daughters of Dianetics channel at 9:00 Eastern tonight. So,
and just one more time, Marilyn's Facebook channel is called Badass Coffee Cults and Crafts. Badass Coffee of Hawaii Cults and Crafts.
Oh, so smells like poo.
Yes, they do.
Oh.
Can we get a crochet Juliana? Marilyn?
Oh.
Poor Marilyn. No,
Yeah.
Marilyn.
I am working, I am so back ordered, but I
joking.
thought about that.
Don't put her on the spot like that,
That would
Joe.
be beautiful, though. That would be so cool. Yeah. Well, there's a Chad, and
That's
there's a
okay.
Chad, and I was supposed to be working on a Stevo, but I have some orders to finish. But
That's not fair, though, because we can't make a Marilyn. There can't be
Right.
crochet of us and not one of you. So no, Chad is fine.
ain't nobody want one more than one of me.
I could try and
I-
carve a wooden one, but I don't know if it'd be any good. Can't promise.
I do have a daughter that is scarily so much like me. It's crazy. Yeah, Steve was like, yep, absolutely. So, Mark, you said you were coming to get nerdy today. We got a little bit nerdy in the beginning, but Let's nerd away.
Oh, people are asking other kinds of questions and
Oh,
commenting
okay.
other kinds
Well,
of things.
I just want him
that's
to
all
be
good.
able to talk.
Mark, prepare for nerdiness.
I've been prepared all my life for the nerdiness. Don't worry.
Yes.
Can
Yes.
I just ask answer a question
Sure.
here? Because Marcus asks if I upgraded my ISP, my internet service. Yes, I did. I hope I'm not buffering or anything, or not too bad.
No.
I shouldn't
Yeah.
be.
No,
it's
Juliana,
great.
it's been great.
Yeah.
So yes, I did.
Awesome.
Finally.
Who's gonna click? Who's gonna click?
I got one. Okay. Media attention from Vanessa. If you have contacts in the media or press, please help us connect with them to bring this shocking story to the attention of the public.
Absolutely.
Yes, she's talking
Hey,
about listeners.
KTL,
Yeah.
we're talking to you. Pick this story up.
I'll be right back, guys.
Liz and Bob Ferris. It's important, please.
Absolutely.
KTLA. I don't know if that's going to get picked up. Oh, let's do when we're done. Let's do like a hashtag, like KTLA hashtag, like WUSA or KUSA. I forget what the LA stations are, but that's always a great way to start because it's such a huge market. And if we can, I mean, yeah, I don't know anybody specifically there, but if we can at least get somebody's attention to see what we're talking about, that might start something, because it's important. It's ridiculous that it's gotten to this. I mean, come on, seriously. She grew up for 20 years of her life thinking her father was dead, only to find out he's still working and just locked in a 500-acre cage. I mean, it's asinine. Let's get this fixed.
Absolutely. And after seeing Serge's story last night, I mean, both Serges have a crazy story that's just heartbreaking. But yeah, after last night, it's like, oh my God, like if that really needs to be picked up by a film festival or a major network or streaming thing, because that story needs to be known. It's just unbelievable. It's awful.
Yeah.
All right. Rock it out with Kim D. Hi. You're so welcome, Joe. I'm grateful for your kindness. Keep playing music. Nice.
So thank you for your kind words.
That's awesome.
I need to go soon, but I might be back later on.
All right.
It's 7:30 here, and yeah, we'll see how things go. But thank you for having me. If I don't
Thank
come
you
back,
so much,
yes.
Joe. Yes,
Pleasure.
welcome back anytime.
Thank you.
All right. Take care. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
All right.
All right. Tatiana Makovkin says, I think it goes wrong when a narcissist is involved and hijacks the normal and needed group dynamics. Agreed.
Yeah.
Completely agreed. I also think that oh no, I was going to try to rationalize that a little bit. I'm not going to. You are 100% right. I was going to say maybe the putting somebody in charge pulls out their narcissism, but I don't know. I mean, you can look at some things where people have come to power and the power has gone to their head, but really that innate narcissistic tendency, I don't know, has been there initially. So you're spot on. You're spot on, Tatiana. No question there. So narcissists are opportunists and will use any established hierarchy to leverage and manipulate and control. Totally. They'll use their opportunism to get into the position where they can then manipulate and control others. There it is. That's you've answered my ponderance from earlier. You're absolutely right. Degraded Daughters of Dianetics. ABC7 is on it too. We just need the news to not be afraid of Scientology. News. Mainstream media. Scientology is loud. This has been the way it's been since the beginning. They will yell, they will scream, they will holler, they will use everything in their power to intimidate and make you believe that they are right. They are not right. They are wrong, but they are loud.
Yep.
If you move forward, they will not sue you. They are afraid to be they are afraid to sue you because they're afraid of discovery. They are afraid of what you could bring out, what the attorneys could bring out while all that crap is going on. So they are not going to sue you. They are just going to scream and yell and throw lawyers with dumb names and blinky eyes at you for as long as they can to intimidate you. But it's just an intimidation tactic. You are ABC, you are CBS, you are NBC, you are Fox. You're fine. Move forward with a story that needs to be told and tell Scientology to pound sand. They have never won a lawsuit. They've never won. Well, how I'm trying to.
You're on the right track. Yep.
Just damn do it, because it's the right thing to do. And to be completely honest, this far into this video, fuck Scientology and fuck what they're doing. We need you to speak out on the behalf of those who need your voice.
Yeah. Vanessa also said that to complete that thought, that since they sued, time has been held trying to get reporters to help them do a lawsuit, and that's it. I think they you know, back when they were still able to sue people, they had this lawsuit against Time, which Time won, but they spent a lot of money, to fight that in court, and nobody wants that headache. But like Steve-O said, that's not the case anymore.
Scientology will tell you that they won that Time lawsuit. They did not.
They didn't.
They did not. Do it.
Anything to add to that, Mark or Chad?
I'll let Mark go first.
It can be hard. But basically everything that I wanted to say was said, because you're absolutely correct. It's intimidation. They win when you don't report on Scientology because you're afraid of Scientology. But to be honest with you, there's a lot of media outlets who have done stories on Scientology that have not been flattering, and you'll get cease and desist letters and all this nonsense. They might do a little bit of fair gaming here and there, but ultimately, I don't know, for the public interest is, it's more important that you get these stories out. But I kind of do understand with the legal industry the way it is in the United States, it can be hard. But in the end, I still think it's worth it.
I was just going to add, thank you, Julie. I was just going to add, I've never worked for a news channel, but I'm assuming it's just like Steve-O was talking about with the businesses. I have worked for a lot of businesses, and the businesses I work for, even though the news should be worrying about just getting the news out, regardless either way, but they're worried about how much how much versus how much we're going to either make on a story versus getting sued. So it's a financial decision other than getting the news out.
Let me just add one more thing. ABC, Walt Disney, you stood up to Scientology when you let A&E run Leah's show 5 years ago. Okay, you're standing up to or whatever his name is, Ron DeSantis now, about gay and LGBT rights. Stand up against Scientology.
Yeah.
And then Deviant Outcast also says they never won a jury trial. They have won lawsuits. But
right.
I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but the way I see it, the way I understand it, is that they have won lawsuits, but basically like people that have sued the Church of Scientology, not them suing anybody else.
Right. Because if they try to sue anyone else, then they're open to discovery, deposition, all that. And then they have to answer some questions that they don't want to answer. So they won't dare sue anybody after the Debbie Cook.
Debbie Cook.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
After her
Yep.
case, because she had about a half a day of testimony and they shut it right down, and they gave
Yep.
her they ended up paying her instead
They
of the other
sued
way
her
around.
and they paid for her to go away.
Yeah,
Exactly.
It's kind of funny.
it is very funny.
Yeah, it is funny. It's not funny what happened to her and so many
No.
others, you know. It really isn't. But yeah, so I don't think they're that much of a threat. I think it was Mike that calls them the paper tiger. You know, they'll just send all kinds of threatening letters, but they don't really mean anything by it, because they can't really do
Oh, that's
anything.
funny. I missed that. Wow.
Yeah. I'm still getting a lot of feedback. I'm sorry, guys.
I don't know. So I want to bring this comment up from Marcus. Shh. I'll mute you. Like,
I'll unmute me.
Did you guys see Mark and Claire list?
At the end
Mark
of their
was
at the end of their post show last night, Mark was muting Claire, and he was like
Claire.
holding his button on it so she couldn't unmute. It was just
and
classic.
everybody was like, "Free Claire, mute Mike, mute Mark."
Yeah.
Okay, so
Good
Mark
Poor
has
Claire.
an interesting comment here. He says, we were talking about the documentary, and then he also mentioned this, that says, I have a hard time watching the stories. I still haven't made it through the first episode of The Aftermath. And Marcus, I want to say that is completely valid, and you should respect your boundaries. You know, when we say, watch the documentary now and watch it from different accounts, watch it on both channels. You know, the money goes to the effort, but we know it's hard for us that we're never in. You know, it's probably really triggering for those of you who were in Scientology, who were, especially those who were in this organization or who were in similar situations as Serge now, you know, in this documentary. But anybody in the Aftermath show, and you know, take your time. What you're doing is already a lot of work. And anybody who doesn't know, Marcus has this channel in Theta, you know, and he has a lot of old videos when he was decompressing, like from Scientology, and he's revisiting his old videos, and it's very interesting to witness, you know, to be there, to hold space and empathize and provide some kind of emotional support to Marcus in this journey. But it's painful, I understand. So, you know, you're correct. Like, don't force yourself to do something you're not ready to do. You know?
I can relate to that as well, because I had a really hard time in the YouTube space finding a community that I could relate to without feeling very triggered and without having to face some things I wasn't really ready to face. And so, like, things like the documentary that came out not too long ago, Shiny Happy People, if that had come out 5, 6, 7 years ago, I probably would not have been able to handle watching it, because that was very close to, in a lot of ways, what I went through. The doctrine was pretty much from the IBLP that we were indoctrinated into. So there's certain words even now, you know, we're talking about cult words. There's certain words that are triggering, or certain phrases. When someone says things like "turn the other cheek," I can't handle that. I get a little, you know, but I'm getting better. I'm getting better about it. But yeah. So you know, there's certain podcasts I like to listen to, but I have to do it in doses. There's one that's great. Like I'll watch it, especially when people like Mike Render is on it. The Derek Lambert, which I really, really like him a lot. And he has the Myth Vision podcast, which I really like, but there's times when he has some theologians on there. They're almost like apologetics or apologetics.
Yeah.
It's kind of that mindset of like trying to dig deep into something that I don't really want to dig into. So the language can be triggering. So I understand things that, you know, can push your buttons or make you feel upset. Definitely.
And I think that's true for anything in life, you know, for everybody. Know your triggers, and if you don't have to if you can avoid something that's going to be bad for you, you know, take your time.
Definitely. Who's gonna click?
You do it. I'm not. I'm just
Okay.
starring.
Okay. Some people call her Mac. She likes to be called Sophia. Hey, Sophia. With Scientology, it's always something even more depraved than the prior depraved cruelty. I know. I know. Vanessa always says, just when you think, Vanessa, what do you say? You still here, honey? Just when you think Scientology can't get any worse, it does.
It
You
does.
know, it's just
Yeah.
It does. And it's something that in my
Yeah.
experience with Scientology is so interesting because I think a lot of people, a lot of us never-ends are like that. You think it's something, kooky, stupid, silly, funny, and then you hear this here, you hear this, that, and then you hear Xenu or you hear, Tom Cruise jumping up and down on Oprah's couch or whatever. And then you start trying to understand it and you try to understand the language and you try to, hear the stories. And then the more involved you get into it, the more there's cognitive dissonance from the outside, let alone from the inside. It's from the outside you're looking at, this is kind of funny, but it's so tragic at the same time. So something that I wanted to also say is that with my upcoming channel, I also would like to ask like Scientologists and ex-Scientologists if I ever get disrespectful or anything. It's not my objective, so please call me out on it. My idea is going to be to discuss some of the things, but it's going to be in a light-mannered way because people say, like, don't try to take this so seriously. Don't try to make sense of it. And yeah, so sometimes you can't. So I'm going to just try to have some fun with that. But I definitely don't want to disrespect any survivors or, so help me out.
Oh, sorry. I meant to star that and I ended up, but why not? Right?
We're up.
Rocky
That's
ahead.
right.
Kim
That's
D,
right.
hi.
First, before you read
Question
it,
for
before
chat.
you read it though, did you just notice that there? I'm pointing at her. I'm looking at her too. There, Brady Bunch. Julie called it her upcoming channel. That means she's
Yes.
committed now. She's in it.
Yep.
We
I
got her
don't
there.
know.
We got her there, folks. Now the next thing is
Yep.
for her to just
I'm excited
flip
with
the
the
switch.
idea. I'm
It's a
excited
great
with the
idea. It's
idea.
a great
Just
idea.
don't know
Yeah,
where to
it
go.
is.
No, we're just excited that it's going to happen. So,
Amazing. Yes.
Yep.
all right. What does Kim D High say?
Yeah.
Chad,
So this
how's the
question,
weather?
how's the weather, Clearwater? Chad, you seem quiet today. Weather in Clearwater, I was going to say Clearwater, Chad. Clearwater is 85, hot and sunny. Drink plenty of water and stay in the shade. Good question.
Nice. That's right. All right.
Oh, we have to pull this one up right now just to see the dance. In Theta says, your own tagline at Juliana Bittencourt, the Scientologist. We're all in this
All
together.
in this together.
Talk about nerding out.
High School Musical.
I love it. I love it. All right. I
I
guess
don't
I'm
even know
clicking
the
for a few.
choreography. I just shake my hands and clap.
It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah,
It's
very
probably 10 times better than what Zac Efron did. But
Sure.
so Deviant Outcast says, well, they sued the Swedish government. That didn't go anywhere because you can't sue a nation's constitution. But they tried or wanted to. Yeah, so true. I mean, right? They'll I don't know. There's no rhyme or reason to these kids, but that's right, David Miscavige. You're the height of a kid. Yeah,
They probably
Yeah,
declared
taller
their
than
nation.
David
there's no
Miscavige.
rhyme or reason, but it just it doesn't work for them. And back to my earlier point, mainstream media, they're not. They're going to say they are. They may even start walking that direction. They're not going to do it. And if they do, they got nothing and you got everything. So, we're not screwing around with people's lives. I mean, Bob Ferris deserves to be out of that cage and with his child, child who is a grown adult now because he missed her youthful years. And Serge Obolensky deserves a life and deserves his story to be told to the world. and every one of the whether they're Sea Org members, whether they're staff members, whether they're publics who got abused, their stories deserve to be told. And you know, you've told puff pieces over the years. Every once in watch the damn Australians and see what they do, right? Because they know how to do an interview. But seriously, puff pieces are done. Let's get these let's free these people, and let's free the world from the abuses of Scientology. Who the hell cares if the name exists in 20 years? But the behaviors need to stop now. Behaviors should have stopped 50 years ago. They need to stop now, and we need you to do that. So
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So I put this up. There was a little discussion going on about Marcus and what he expressed about being in the public forum. He found that more comforting or useful. And Don said, when a person is honest with and about their feelings and emotions, putting aside negative negative positions and judgment, it helps others connect with their own without judgment. I think. Did I read that right? When a person is honest and about their feelings and emotions, putting aside negative judgment, it helps others connect with their own without judgment. Yes, that's really, really good. It's a great community. Yeah, no one's perfect. Someone else pointed out in the chat, but yeah, we're all here to support each other. And Theta said, I love that. Yeah. And they're having a little conversation, but it's really, really nice. Cheesing out. That means you're happy, right? It's great. Awesome.
Very good.
Right, sorry,
I'm sorry I missed Jo. I don't know if she's coming back.
She said she might. I probably got to skedaddle about 3:00, so I got another 15 minutes or so.
15 minutes?
Yeah.
It's probably a good end point too. So
2 hours.
Isn't it funny that we were like, today's gonna be all nerdy, and then we're all like emotional, and you know, and then we're like, today's gonna be very serious, fundamentalism, and they're like, Star Trek.
I know.
Well, Marcus just said, Mark, do the nerd. It's time. It's nerd time.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll start.
Well, I don't know.
Mark sent me a list
Yeah,
of
right.
where to
Be
begin.
nerdy.
Correct.
Be nerdy. Just
I'll provoke the nerdiness.
Okay, I will. Yeah. Get my pocket protector.
Excellent.
No, go ahead then. Because I was going to say, Mark sent me a suggestion of where to start with Star Trek. Why don't you share that, and let's see if Steve or Marilyn agree with that.
Sure. I sent Marilyn a list also of some episodes of The Twilight Zone. It's a big list because it's 10 episodes. It's fine. However, when you ever get into something, like a Star Trek or a Twilight Zone or any other kind of thing, it can seem a little bit overwhelming because, of course, there's a lot of lore, there's a lot of history, and there's a lot of things going on, especially like in Star Trek. There's a lot of what they call techno babble, but nobody really understands it because it's all fiction, so it doesn't matter. You can just sort of skip that stuff. The ones that I was sharing were 3 episodes of the original series, 3 episodes of The Next Generation, and then 2 movies. So at least from what I think, if you're going to start off with the original series, there's an episode, it's a very, very important and pivotal episode called The Balance of Terror. And this is the episode that first introduces the Romulans. And I love the Romulans, as you guys know. Interestingly enough, the guy who plays the Romulan starship captain will end up playing Spock's father in later episodes. But basically, it's a really intense episode. It's a thriller, and in the movies, of course,
yes,
Sarah.
I know.
And I know The Next Generation as well.
Mark Leonard showed up in so much, and he's just a wonderful contributor to
He's
that.
an amazing actor. Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
So in that one again is more of a thriller. It's the first time you see the Romulans, and they give you a little bit of a backstory, and then the Romulans become a lot more important. And then the other two are the really, really famous episodes. And again, you don't have to know anything about the series. But the first is The City on the Edge of Forever, which introduces, is it Joan Crawford? Is it that who the actress is? I forget, or Joan someone?
No,
Who's the actress there?
Collins.
Edith Collins, that's the one.
Yep.
Edith, what's her name? Edith something. Anyway, it's a really good kind of love story. It's a time travel story. But it's considered the best episode of the original series. And then also The Trouble with Tribbles, which is just a very
Oh,
cute
yeah.
episode.
That one.
And that one,
Love
again, these episodes, you don't, I mean, everyone will have some idea of Kirk and Spock and Scotty and all these people, but they're not in depth. They don't go through too much. It's just they're just great episodes. And then for the Next Generation, I really love, I think one of the better episodes to see what it's like on the ship daily is Data's Day. So I recommended Data's Day because, again, you don't even really need to know anything about Data. You don't need to know anything about the crew. It's just literally what do the people do every day? What are they doing? What's their daily activity? Because you're just seeing them in these intense moments while they're all on the bridge, but they have lives. The other one is The Inner Light, which is a great, really, really great kind of bittersweet, kind of melancholic episode. And I like that one a lot because it's a very Picard-themed episode. And it's probably the most emotional episode Star Trek's pretty much ever done. And it's actually a very, very good drama. And the other one is Who Watches the Watchers, which is the one where they're on the planet where the people look like Romulans and Vulcans, but the planet is thousands of years behind. And so they're studying the people, and then their observation post gets discovered. And and then that's kind of a very traditional Star Trek story. So nothing is too in deep. Nothing as far as the lore is concerned is too heavy. And those are really, really good introductions. And then for the movies, The Wrath of Khan and The Voyage Home are probably the best ones to introduce people to, because, again, you don't need to know too much. Although if you do watch The Wrath of Khan, the original episode called Space Seed, which introduces Khan, is also a really good one. And again, Khan, of course, you don't really have to know his story if you just want to watch the movie. But if you watch the episode before the movie, it sort of makes a little bit of sense. But I think all of them are very popular. It's not heavily technical. I didn't really put anything too much for DS9 or Voyager. Voyager, of course, has some fine episodes, but most of it I didn't really like too much. And then for Deep Space Nine, if you want to watch Deep Space Nine, you have to watch from the first episode. And there's 178 episodes, so I'm not gonna. I'm actually going through it now for the third time. Yeah,
it's hard to find a starting
I'm watching
point.
it again.
Yeah,
and that show it's difficult.
And I would be the kind of person that would want to start from the first episode of the very beginning, because I want to know how things are chronologically. And I tried to do that with Doctor Who, and I have failed. I didn't get into Doctor Who because I tried to start watching from so I appreciate that very much, Mark. Thank you.
The old guys in black and white were never the way to go with Doctor Who, but and especially
that's where I started.
Because I believe that when it came to the second Doctor, a bunch of the episodes were actually, if I'm not mistaken, lost in a fire that BBC had.
Yeah.
So,
really?
So there's a real break in that story between 2 and 3. It makes
There's
it a
some
little
kind
more
of
difficult.
Anxiety in me, though. It's like, I gotta know from the beginning. How am I gonna?
Oh no, absolutely,
it's
absolutely.
Stupid, but not necessarily.
And Star Trek
it can
does
get
it
addicting.
Star Trek does it too, because in the original series, there's the original series, the 3 seasons of that. But then there's such a break between that and the Next Generation that there was an entire generation that had no idea about the original series when they watched the Next Generation. And then same thing with, Mark brought up The Wrath of Khan. There were so many people that one of the reasons that movie was so successful was because it told such a great story, but you didn't need to know the episode Space Seed to watch it. And it really I think it pulled a lot of people in that would not have considered themselves real Star Trek fans. Plus it really, after the first movie, it really was it was a far superior film than the first movie was. I will say this. Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. I will say this. 2 of the episodes that you mentioned, Mark, from the original series were revisited later. One being Trouble with Tribbles came back in a Deep Space Nine episode, which was honestly very very funny. I thought it was a very great lighthearted episode. And then Balance of Terror, Balance of Power, Balance of Terror. Was brought back in the new one on Paramount Plus with Christopher Pike, Strange New Worlds. And it was actually brought back as an episode of that from, again, a different perspective, kind of a whole Pikean perspective. I won't ruin, because there's a lot that goes on with Christopher Pike's story that haunts him in this series, but yeah, so there's that element too. So that was very interesting that not only you, but the producers of Star Trek thought that those were great stories to bring back into the lore from a different perspective as well. I agree. I think from a movie perspective, The Wrath of Khan, which is a very serious movie overall. Once you see that, though, you may just need to reverse your tear ducts by watching Star Trek 3. But it's not necessary. Star Trek 4 is a very lighthearted time travel romp that's wonderful. I was also a fan of 6, the kind of wrapping up of the story. I thought the even-numbered movies, for some reason, were the best. Interestingly, 2 and 6 were directed by the same guy, Nicholas Meyer, who has also directed non-Star Trek things and is a wonderful director. You also have, when they move into the Next Generation movies, First Contact, I think, was the superior one of those. Brings the Borg story back to the kind of creation of warp drive. It's a very it has its lighthearted moments and it also has its tense moments, but it's there's some it's a good series. It's a good movie overall, but 2 and 4 by far and away are the most superior of the films that were made. So I do not in any way disagree with that list.
Yeah, they're the most accessible, again, for newer viewers. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Just because it's like, I mean, I can give you episodes all day long, but then you might have to know who, like, Miles O'Brien is.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate that. Really do.
Because and then again, the difference was, so of the 4, again, Enterprise, I mean, I've only watched once, but I'm sort of the OG 4 type, the Star Trek 4, even though I don't like Voyager. But the original series, The Next Generation and Voyager, are called Monster of the Week shows. So they follow the premise where they have a contained story, whereas DS9 is a serial. And it literally means that if you watch one episode, you should watch the next episode, because the timelines continue. It's not just a Monster of the Week. Yep. So I love that. I mean, I'm binging now Deep Space Nine for the 3rd time. And I will watch all 178 episodes. Like, I can't get enough of it. I love it.
No.
But then I'll go back and I'll watch. I usually do 3 through 6, maybe 3 through 7 in The Next Generation. And I just love that. So that's why I'm focused on those. And those are normally where you will get the big intro ones, because in syndication, that's another thing. These shows were made to be in reruns. And because back in the day, that's where they used to make their money. And so when I was growing up, I watched most of it in syndication, most of these shows. And, you could just plop on in the middle of the afternoon. You can just take any original series or any Voyager, any TNG episode, and just put it on, and people will watch it, and it's got that self-contained 5-act story. But
that makes sense.
it's just and then the newer shows I don't mind here and there. I like the last season of Picard. I haven't seen Strange New Worlds. I really love Lower Decks. Lower Decks is great. But
Lower Decks is fun.
So,
I like the
work on those.
No, yeah, thank you. No, I really appreciate that. But I like the of course not to start, but I think it's really good that you have these self-contained ones for me to start in the world. But then now that you have the ones that are like serial, I really like serials, but series to sit, for example, to sit here at the computer and do something else. So I'll sit here and draw, I'll sit here and I haven't been crocheting, but I'll do something else and I'll watch a series through. So I've watched, for example, I don't know, Travelers. Is it called Travelers? I think so. A couple, like I've seen it a couple times, because I'm watching, but I'm not really watching, So I like those now that we have streaming and you can just actually watch everything in order. And I had a question here. Lori said, "What's happening? We have two Chads."
Two Chads. Oh no!
Oh, sir. I'll shut the one down.
Multiplying. That's so funny.
Mark, what do you think? What do you think about steering people towards, for the next generation, Best of Both Worlds and Yesterday's Enterprise?
Yeah, Yesterday's Enterprise is good. Best of Both Worlds they're fantastic episodes, but I think for Yesterday's Enterprise, you have to know that there's been a chain of enterprises, because when you say like the Enterprise C, it's like where's A, where's B, like you kind of got to go through that. And then for Best of Both Worlds is great. I just don't know if they work necessarily as introductions. Like I think you have to know a little bit more. I think you got to know a little bit more of the story, especially Yesterday's Enterprise. I think
that's true. There's characters.
I mean, it doesn't take a long. It doesn't take a huge, explanation to sort of get who is the Borg and what's the difference between Enterprise A, then B, then C, then D, then E, then F, and now G. So it's like, but it takes like a second. Whereas I think in those other episodes, it's more clear cut. But that's just my opinion. I mean, there's no.
Probably need to know who Tasha Yar is and a few other elements there. So that's a good point.
Exactly.
No, true.
Yeah, but they're fantastic. Best of Both Worlds were my favorites growing up. They still are today.
That was Best of Both Worlds to me was when, I as a kid went, holy shit, this is a serious series. I mean, it was before that. I mean, we know season one and season two were getting their feet wet, refiguring things out, getting to that point. Season 3 became a really good season that ended amazingly, and that's like, wow, this is something now. And then they revisited that whole that feeling with Yesterday's Enterprise and certainly other episodes as well. But those were such powerful episodes, such like, okay, there it is. It was great. So, but no, good. Yeah. Very good point though. Yeah. I love those, but you're right. They're not a place to start. So,
because there are a lot. Like I also really love Preemptive Strike, which is the second to final episode where like Rolaren goes off to join the Maquis. I love that episode, but like you have to know a hell of a lot of what's going on with the whole thing.
Yeah.
I love it. But
remind me the name of there are 4 lights episode. What is that one called?
Chain of Command Part 1 and 2. And again, you kind of have to know who the Cardassians are a little bit. It gets into a whole thing. Those are fantastic episodes, but like it's stuff where lore is needed.
Lore is needed. But Ronnie Cox as the substitute captain was
Edward G. Jellicoe.
Jellicoe, thank you. Yes.
Tell him I'm a loose cannon. When you get in there, tell him I'm a loose cannon and you don't know what I'm going to do. And then make him pause for a little bit. Anyway, it's fantastic. I've probably seen that episode 300 times. So yeah.
It's a great episode. Isn't that the episode? Wasn't he the one that made Troy wear the appropriate uniform? Yes. And I believe she continued to wear that for the rest of the series.
Yes, she did. That's right. Yeah.
We have a
That's
question
correct,
from
yeah.
Laura Plays, but I don't know if it's relevant anymore.
That's
I
the
don't know.
Everything's
flute. The
relevant.
flute episode is the inner light. The one with
Okay.
Picard. What's the flute episode? Yeah, that's one I put on there because it's actually really, really deep and interesting,
Okay.
and it's very powerful. So you may cry. Who
Alright.
knows? I don't know. I'm not a crier, but you may. But if you do, it's a good thing because it's powerful story.
I am a
It's
crier,
really quite
but at
amazing.
weird times. Sometimes I cry at stupid things, and sometimes I don't cry at heavy things. You know, they affect
Yeah.
me, but I don't cry right away. It's weird. All right, I have a question now.
Four lights.
Before we have to go, I have a couple more
Yeah.
things here.
Sure.
Laurie also said the Doctor Who. Laurie also suggested that I should start with the 9th Doctor. What do you guys think?
No, you should
Who's
start
the
with the 4th Doctor.
4th Doctor.
Tom Baker is incredibly. I will say that for this generation, the 9th, the new series with the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, whatever we're at, is good, and I think that there's some great writing. I think David Tennant is fantastic. I'm trying to remember the name of the 9th Doctor. That was the one season guy that
Peter Eccleston.
Yes, Eccleston.
Peter Eccleston.
Yes, and then Matt Smith as the 11th Doctor. The 9th through the 11th Doctors are fantastic for this current roundabout. But if you're really going Doctor Who, start with Doctor Who 4, which is Tom Baker. Watch Doctor Who 5, which is Peter. Oh shoot! It's the guy from All Creatures Great and Small. Peter. I forget, but his daughter is married to David Tennant now. It doesn't matter. But watch the 4th and the 5th Doctor. 6th and 7th get messy, and then there's the 8th Doctor, which was like part of a TV movie. So anyway, 4th and 5th, and then 4th and 5th, and then jump to 9th. I would say would be the right way to do it.
I'm gonna write that suggestion.
Tom Baker with his big hair and his scarf and K9 following alongside his little robot dog.
The Prisoner is fantastic too. By the way, The Prisoner is excellent.
Which episode
I have
is
an
that?
interesting fact about Doctor Who.
Please.
The Prisoner
Go
was
right
a
ahead,
series. It was a British series.
Oh, but wait a minute. But it's not related to Doctor Who.
No, he says I'm not fluent in Doctor Who. I did watch The Prisoner.
Oh.
The Prisoner is its
okay.
own series. It was a one-off in the late '60s. If you've ever seen the Mr. X episode of The Simpsons, where Homer becomes a conspiracy theorist and start talking about conspiracy theories. Anyway, okay, maybe no one's seen that one. It's a great episode. But The Prisoner was a one-off, one series, whatever, how many episodes in Great Britain. They're on an island. Some guy wakes up. He's on an island. It's weird. It's awesome. Awesome
Nice.
show.
I'm writing down all kinds of recommendations here today.
There's also a spin-off series. I think it ran 3 seasons for Doctor Who called Torchwood. Once you've watched through Doctor Who, you'll meet a couple of the characters, and then Torchwood in itself is another great series. So, and it's relatively short. It's 3 seasons. I think it's whatever 10, 12 episode seasons. It was done in conjunction with BBC and I think Stars here in the US. So it was run on both platforms. But some great characters came out of there as well, and that was another fun series. But start with it's called Torchwood, and it's actually an acronym for Doctor Who if you do the letters. But but definitely start with the Doctor Who part, and then move to Torchwood. Yeah.
All right. Lori explains her reason, which I think is very good. She says that she usually recommends the new Doctor Who because the old stuff is so campy now that many fall away before falling in love with Doctor Who. That's a fair point, but I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to give Steve-O a suggestion to try. She said 4, 5, and then 9. Just because I started with the first one, so I'll be willing to start with the 4th one.
9 was dark, and I think 9 was a darker Doctor. Once it moves to the 10th Doctor and the 11th, they're campier again, but they're still a little more serious, but they're campier again. Eccleston was a very dark representation, I think, of the Doctor.
All right. And Joe?
I was just going to say I have an interesting fact about how the theme song to Doctor Who was made.
Oh,
please.
yes, please.
So it's made by someone called Delia Derbyshire. But the way she made it was she recorded the sound of tapping a lampshade. And then as this was put through various filters, that's what created the da.
Oh, interesting.
And now you know.
Very interesting.
It's all done by
Very
tapping a
cool.
lampshade. And
Oh, wow.
lots
I
of
like
those
those-
electronics and yeah.
Those things are so interesting when you know how things are. I think it's fascinating how things are made and
Yeah.
very cool. Now, I think Marilyn is about to have to leave us.
Yeah,
Because
I gotta fly. I've got a
Do you have?
family thing.
Oh, you gotta go, or do you have one more minute for one more?
Sure.
Just because I wanted to, since we did Star Trek, Doctor Who. Now this is the question. I mean, my old Star Wars T-shirt over here. So what now? How do we handle this? But then this is the most important part, in my opinion. That's like the original trilogy, episodes 4 to 6. This shirt's from episode 4, so I think you're safe, in my opinion.
Oh.
What do you guys?
I know
think?
way
Star,
more.
Star Wars. Watch 4
Yeah,
through 6.
I don't really
and
know
then
anything
Throw the rest away.
about Star Wars.
Oh, you don't?
Yeah,
Okay. Because
I
I
actually
know a lot about
kind
Star
of like
Trek.
it. I like
1, 2, 3?
I like Attack of the Clones. I'm not gonna lie, and I also like. I know it's a terrible movie.
Did you like it when it
but-
came out, though?
Yeah, and I also
Oh,
I
okay.
hate the Anakin Padme stuff. I love the Obi-Wan stuff, and I
Yeah.
know that it's
Okay.
hard for people to
Yeah.
separate that stuff. But Obi-Wan and his little detective noir thing, I like that a lot. So to me, Sith was good, but then I actually saw The Force Awakens twice in one day because I went to the theater and I loved it so much. I was so riveted that I went back and watched it again. Now, I haven't seen those movies in a long time, but at the time I did like them. However, the next couple ones, Last Jedi, there's some stuff I like about it. I actually like grizzled Luke, cynical Luke, but that last movie, Episode 9, was just
I
really
did
bad.
not watch it.
So
did
I
not watch it.
prefer 5 as my favorite. The Empire Strikes Back. I don't love Return of the Jedi, but I do love A New Hope. And then again, Attack of the Clones, half of that movie, and then I would say Force Awakens. So I like a lot of it. I did enjoy Rogue One. I didn't like Solo, and there's just it's a mess, unfortunately. But yeah.
I refuse to call Star Wars A New Hope because it was Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly.
I get that. Okay, we're making a serial. We have to give them names.
Yeah.
Fine, but I agree. Episode 5 was the best. Episode 4, second best. Episode 6, third best. For me, it's if you're watching them, watch 4, 5, and 6 by themselves.
Yep.
Watch 1, 2, and 3 by themselves. Even watch 7 by itself, and maybe watch 8 by itself. Don't consider them a continuation. I'm with you. I liked Episode 8, The Last Jedi. I really wish that Disney would have allowed those changes that were made in that story, the ha ha ha, we've tricked you, it's not what you were expecting, would have continued those in episode.
Sorry,
bye,
let's
Marilyn.
just
I'm
speak
sorry.
about it, Marilyn,
Hi,
because I
Marilyn,
thought she wanted to take part in the discussion. And said she doesn't really.
sorry,
she's
yeah,
a nerd
sorry.
too, but she
She left.
doesn't like. I wanted her to say goodbye. I'm sorry,
Oh, we
Marilyn.
didn't get a chance to
Sorry,
say
Marilyn,
bye.
we love you.
Sorry,
Sorry,
Marilyn.
yeah.
But episode 8 was good. But then Disney decided, we're going to fire the next director, or we're not.
Colin Trevorrow.
Colin Trevorrow, who's done some great stuff otherwise. But we're going to get rid of him, and we're going to bring JJ back to try to retell I'm trying to think of the
salvage
the Hollywood. Trying to think of the Hollywood word for it. It's like to go back to the storyline that they were starting to create in episode 7, as opposed to moving forward with the storyline that episode 8 made. I'm a little disappointed in Disney straight up that they didn't have all 3 movies patterned out before the, here's how it's going to end. So here's how the middle has to look. They didn't give, what's his name? Middle director guy. They didn't give him
Ryan Johnson.
Right, Ryan Johnson. Yeah. The Knives Out dude who does, again, fantastic work. They didn't give him a real blueprint, so he did what he wanted, and he kind of spun some things on their heads. I don't blame him for that. I maybe would have kicked him in the butt a little bit for it, but he made a good movie. He just didn't make a movie that they saw as the vision, and then they had to they ultimately ruined it by the end. But anyway, 4, 5, and 6 are the best. Watch those by themselves. Watch 1, 2, and 3 by themselves. Think of those as a completely different story that ultimately gets to the end. Rogue One and the Andor series. The Andor series on Disney Plus is friggin' incredible. And that's 5 years before Rogue One, again, telling that Cassian Andor story. Oh my God, the 10 or so episodes of that this season have been fantastic. And now we have to wait till 2024 to get season 2 because everything. But yeah, anyway. And I honestly did not mind Solo, but I think it came at because Alden Emmerich or whatever his name is, who, by the way, is also he's also in the Oppenheimer movie. I think he did a fantastic job. I think Donald Glover did a great job as a young Billy D. Williams, as a young Lando Calrissian. I thought the story was interesting. I thought they probably didn't need to do a few things, and Disney is really trying to fuse the animated stuff in with the live action stuff now. And so there are some returns and some other things that didn't need to happen, but it was okay. It just came at the wrong time. And I think that's the reason why the Obi-Wan series was a 1-season series as opposed to being a movie, which was their first plan. They had watered us so down with movies that they needed to back away from those for a while. And now it sounds like we may be seeing some movies again relatively soon. So anyway, that's my Star Wars was the first movie that ingrained itself in my head. I was 2.5 years old, sitting in the theater with my mom. We were those ones who, after the movie ended, we just sat there and let the people clean around us, paid for one ticket, watched it twice. And so it's just in my head as my first favorite movie. And yeah, so of course I filled my gaps with Star Trek because there was no Star Wars for quite some time. And I love them both, and they were both amazing. So there it is.
That's not the norm. A lot of people, they're like, they have to.
Oh, screw that!
It has to be a fight. It has to be either like Star Wars or like because Star Wars is not scientific enough. It's like whatever.
If you're a sci-fi fan, you're going to appreciate. I mean, you're going to appreciate Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, Obi-Wan, that weird Darth Vader dude. You're going to appreciate all of that, and you're going to appreciate the nerding of Star Trek as well. So I mean. But I get it. Yeah, Chewie, Christmas with Chewie. Oh my God, that Christmas special was the most horrible thing ever put on film. Especially when B. Arthur comes and starts singing and dancing somewhere in there. But oh my God, it was just bad. I have a copy of it. It's not a great quality copy of it, but it was like the original recording, has all the commercials that were in it, all the kids' toy commercials too. It was just the worst thing ever. But yeah, but I'll still watch it from time to time. It's it's like Die Hard. It's a Christmas must. So.
Die Hard.
Yeah. I love Die Hard too.
I love Die Hard. Die Hard is my favorite Christmas movie.
Die Hard also, or Die Hard 2?
No, Die Hard also.
Okay.
I love Die Hard
2 is
but
okay.
DieArd 2.
But
the reason I love Die Hard 2 is Dennis Franz. That guy is the best.
Dennis Franz is awesome in that movie. Absolutely.
He's the best. Yeah.
And then
I love both of them, but
I like Die Hard 1, 2, and 3. But Die Hard 1 is
yeah.
Yeah. 3 was great. 3 was great too. Die Hard with a Vengeance.
3 was pretty good. 3 is pretty good.
3 is fun. They're like playing Simon Says all over,
Right. Yep. Samuel L. Jackson in there. That was just great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. Jo, what says you? What say you? I don't know how to say that in third person.
Who, me?
Jo,
Yeah,
how do
I
you
said
feel
it
about
all
Star
weird. I
Wars?
said, what say you?
Okay, so I'm about to probably unleash a whole load of hate here.
Oh no.
I've never seen Star Wars, and I've never seen Star Trek.
No
Mic
hate.
drop.
No hate. I've
No,
never
Well,
seen Star
You're not
Trek. I've
you're
never
not
seen
the
There
first
are
one to
Trek.
say that. So no.
Yeah, there are people alive who have not seen both. I've now only met one person, but that's okay. That's fair.
I'm glad I'm alive.
Yeah.
No, you're all good.
Now, for some of us, it's a life. You know, it's a religion and a lifestyle. But I get it. I do understand. I get it.
And what about Chad and Mini Chad?
Well, unfortunately, same here. But I'd like to try to watch a few episodes and see what's up. I want to be
There
part
you
of
go.
the Star Trek team next time. You know, I was more into Knight Rider growing up, so I'm kind of into that. You know, I'm
High five, Chad.
Yo, you too.
Yeah. By the way, if anybody starts Deep Space Nine, I've got to make like a 12-hour video on why it's the greatest thing you'll ever see, and then you'll watch it. Like it, I have to. I have to give like a beginner's guide to it. I just have to. Like I have to talk about Deep Space Nine. It's incredible. Like, and I have to
Who
tell
did
you
that?
all of my thoughts, and it has to be 12 hours. It's just how it has to be.
See, Julie, now we have some Star Warsy Star Trekian folk above and some never seen them's below. That's why.
Oh, that's not nice. No,
Never
that's
seen
that's
'em.
There's discrimination.
I like that. Never seen.
Never seen.
Never seen.
Yeah.
That's right.
The never seen. The never.
The
People who
SPTV
don't
never
know.
seen.
Okay, here
That'll
comes the high five.
Those.
Can we?
Yeah,
And I can high
they're-
five, Chad. You can now put it closer to Joe.
Yep.
Yo, getting there. Yeah.
High five!
Awesome. That was it.
In,
Beautiful. Beautiful.
In my universe, there are two types of people. There are people who know the sacrifice of Admiral Girac, and there are the people who don't.
I don't.
That's a deep cut. That's a
You
deep
will.
cut. Anywho,
You will. You will,
I
Julie.
will.
You will.
Probably.
Yeah.
I hope so. But recently it's like going back to Star Wars. I have watched the original trilogy a few times. And the second trilogy, episodes 1, 2, and 3, I only saw like once. So I don't remember a lot. And then I saw episode, I have to think, 7 and episode 8 in the theaters. And then I didn't see episode 9. I didn't watch episode 9. And then I had people tell me that about it in the house. I'm like, I don't want to go to the theater and watch that. So I haven't seen that yet. Now I have Disney Plus. They're all there and whatnot, but I didn't get around to it yet. However, I have been playing Lego Star Wars. And then I started with episode 4, episode 5, episode 6. And then I started playing episodes 1, 2, 3. And then I didn't remember a lot of things. So now I've been meaning to watch everything again. Especially I've been meaning to watch episodes 1, 2, and 3 because I only watched them once. And I started watching episode 1 again, but I didn't finish. And it's very cool to watch the movies after playing. I don't know if anybody has ever played any Lego any Lego video games, but they are so well done. They're so funny. I think that I've played a lot of them, and I think they're hilarious. Even the drama scenes, the tragic scenes, they have something funny. And I like it like the
Does Lego Anakin hate sand?
I don't know.
I
Does
played all
Anakin
those
hate
games
sand?
on my DS. I
Yeah.
don't remember the sand part though. I think he says something about sand, doesn't he?
I don't remember. I didn't notice anything related to that because there's so much. There's a lot, like I'm still like there's a lot of the game is huge. It's not huge like it's easy. I've already played all the storylines, but then you have all the extra stuff that the free plays and the achievements and everything. But then it's so cool to watch the movies after playing the game because the places in the game are so well done that when I started watching the movie after having played the game, I was like, "Ooh, I remember that." And I remember because in the game you stay so long in that place. So there's one little scene when they go in episode 1 when they go with Jar Jar Binks to his city underwater.
Mm-hmm.
and that's like a short scene in the film, but he spends so much time in that place, exploring that place in the game, that it's a lot of fun to watch it in the movie afterwards. So I'm enjoying that about the movies now, which is kind of weird, but yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I suppose that would be a. I mean, you're underwater, right? I mean, the vastness is unlimited, so you can just spend a ton of time down there. But you're right, that scene is not that long in that movie.
But not only that, because they have to tell the story, but they have to have the location for you to play the scene in that story, because of the chapters. I don't know if you know how the Lego games work. Steve, have you played any?
I played some, yeah.
Yeah, so how you have the free play. After you play the stage, you have free play to go back to the stage and explore with different characters, to do different things and collect different items. So they create the location, and you stay there as long as you want. And in the movie, not necessarily. So yeah.
Right. 5 minutes, if that. Yeah.
Yeah. Marcus says that's normal. That's what games are excellent at. Yeah.
Very true. Very true.
But it's just I'm finding it interesting that I'm enjoying the movie more because of the game. Also trains kids to learn to play MMOs. That's true. It is. Yeah. There is some kind of an MMO vibe there. You have to go exploring and finding things, but not really, because Lego games are easy. They're not really a challenge, and that's something I like about them. They're fun. They're fun.
I like a lot of the Marvel ones too. Those are really fun.
I played all the Marvel.
Yeah, the Lego Marvels, yeah.
The Legos I've played. Indiana Jones. I've played Batman. I've played Marvel. I've played DC.
There's Harry Potter as well, right?
I've played Harry Potters too. All Harry Potters.
Yeah. Indeed would be fun. Harry Potter would be fun, sure. Lori Plays has asked us, let's take a moment of silence.
No, we already did. That was when everybody was quiet when I finished talking.
Let's take one more. Just everybody inhale, exhale. 10 seconds of silence. And back. Okay, there we go. There you go, Lori. Well, we did it again. We did it again for you.
Boy.
Dad,
well, yeah.
Don't have to ask him twice.
I know it wasn't Marcus, but it was close enough.
But we had already taken 10
Time is relative anyway.
Time is relative. That's right. It was 10 seconds somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe on the other side of a wormhole. Who knows?
True.
5 before and 5 now. So there you go.
As long as the prophets say it is true.
Yep.
I will do a 12-hour video on the prophets later.
Marcus says I could just do a sit stream.
But who would show up? Yeah.
I can sit for hours. Me too.
Yeah, that's a good
you
thing
know what? And the only thing I can do longer than sitting is laying down. I could probably lay down for a good day if I wanted to.
Yeah, 10 seconds. You lot amateurs.
Why is that, Joe? Tell us more.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure I want to ruin Marilyn's interview.
Oh, okay. So that's a nice teaser for Marilyn's interview with Joe coming up on her channel.
Nice.
Interesting.
So apparently we're amateurs.
Here's a question from Mandy Gonzalez to Lori Plays, but I'll bring it up to the entire group here. How did you guys feel about the Hunger Games series?
I enjoyed it.
Aside from the book is better, because of course the books are always better, but
I enjoyed the films. I only read the first book, even though I bought all 3 of them. I enjoyed the films, but reading the first book after having watched the movie, it was really interesting because I studied adaptation, so I don't try to come to a book or a movie thinking, oh, the book is better or anything like that. Even though I try not to have that kind of approach. But what I thought was really interesting about the book is that there's a lot of the inner world of the character, that is not translated into the movie. So in the movie, you just see her doing those things. So it seems like she's really brave, and she's unafraid doing those things. And the book really explores what she's thinking and why she's doing certain things. So certain things that she just does in the movie, and just seems like she's all brave and intelligent. She's not intelligent, but like she's brilliantly coming up with that at the spot. In the book, it goes over like her thought process and her reasoning for everything. I found that really interesting about the book.
Would anyone like to have a guess what I think of The Hunger Games?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I've never seen it.
I was gonna say that. I was gonna say you're gonna say you've never seen it.
I enjoyed the movies. It was nice seeing Michelle Forbes in one of the Mockingjays, but ultimately the books were better.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy the second one. The first and the second movie were good. I actually don't mind the Mockingjay Part 1. It was a little boring. It was a setup for the second one. But yeah, I liked all of them. But yeah, and then I read the books afterwards. But that was a long time ago. So, but yeah, they were good. They were nice. Woody Harrelson is cool.
It's one thing I dislike about movies now. They did it with Harry Potter too. They did it with the Marvel the what was it, the phase, was it phase 1, phase whatever of the Endgame stuff, the 2 movie ending type thing. It's like, just give us a powerful, strong if you need to tell the movie in 2.5 hours or even 3 hours to just make it strong, do that. Don't write it as 2+ hour movies, because now you're kind of stretching things out. Because again, to Julie's point, we don't understand their inner workings. We don't know what they're thinking. The only movie that I think we've ever known what somebody was thinking was the Kyle MacLachlan Dune, because everything he thinks is used as dialogue in the movie. But yeah, it's like, don't stretch these things out. Just give us a strong, powerful way to end that film, rather than having to come up with some sort of climax halfway through and then tell the other half of the movie to get to the true climax of the story. But yeah, I mean, otherwise, yeah, I thought the first movie was great. I'm the kind of guy who sees the movie. Typically, I mean, it depends on timing. It depends on when a book has come out or whatever. But I'll typically see the film before I read the book, and then I have these visions of what the characters look like. Oh, that's Jennifer Lawrence. Okay, fine. But then I get, I obviously get the additional out of the story from that. I found that if I tend to read a book and then go see the movie, everything is wrong. Everything just isn't right, and I'm just disappointed. So that's how I think ever since The Hunt for Red October, that has been my approach to book/movies. Because yeah, I did not envision Alec Baldwin as Jack Ryan, and apparently nobody else did too, because Harrison Ford came in for the next 2 films, and it went on from there. But yeah, Steve-O, you had to do it with the third book. The second half of the book was written differently. What? You had to do it with the third book. The second half of the book was written differently. She went very militant in the second half of the third book. Okay. Maybe in that, maybe I'll rethink myself in this scenario, but crap like Endgame, I don't know. He could have snapped his fingers a lot earlier, and but okay, maybe for Hunger Games, that is true. There was a bit. She did. was kind of like there was something else that where they kind of did that, where everything changed in the second. It doesn't matter. Probably didn't need to do it for Harry Potter though.
Yeah, and even Hunger Games, I don't think they needed the part 1 and part 2 for Mockingjay. It was just,
But then I think people
Hey,
started.
Joe.
People saw
any
that
questions?
that's also a way for them to make more money. You make
Yeah.
a big
Well, of
film,
course,
split it
absolutely.
into two box offices.
Yeah.
Yeah, stretch it. I know. But when Harry Potter is 47 years old by the time the second episode, the second half of the last episode is done, I mean, probably didn't have to stretch it out that long. Point being, everybody, hey, if you've got any more questions for Joe, let's ask questions. Let's ask language. Let's ask instruments. Let's ask.
I'd like to hear Joe play before she goes.
Can she?
If she wants to. If she
Will
wants
she?
to. If she won't, that's okay.
Great.
Chad's eating SpaghettiOs, so it's time.
I very much can. If you want, I don't want to. I can if you'd like, but I don't want to hijack the stream.
What do you mean hijack the stream? We're all in this together. I never know where the clap is.
No, you're up, please.
Your turn, Joe. I already did my show. Now it's your turn. If you want to. No pressure. Let's do it like we did in the pre-show. Put a 1 in the chat.
Yeah, I was going to say, put a 1 in the chat if you want to hear me play. That's how we do it, right? I must now. Okay.
Yeah.
I love it how I can put 1 and post in all 4 channels. It's a 4.
All right, 1 second.
I don't know what you're talking about. That was me pressing 1.
Then we have more than 1.
All 1s. Solid. Joe, it's all you.
Marcus said there's 9 of us here. There's 9 of you in Clearwater Chat's channel, but there's a lot more people in Maryland's and Steve-O's channel. In my channel, there's 1, which is me. But that's okay. Maryland needs the watch hours. If I actually get around to doing something, I don't know. Guys, I'm nervous about this. Not gonna lie.
About a channel?
Not gonna lie. Yeah.
Oh no.
Because I demand so much from myself, That's why I want to just try and do something.
If you need help discerning between thetans and body thetans, I'm here.
Oh, those are the discussions that I want to have. Like, I think I know a lot, and that's why the idea came about, because Steve was discussing that, and then I had different opinions than he did, and I wanted to talk about that. I'm like, maybe I should talk about that, because it's not the first time that I've seen people discuss it, and I wanted to. And some things even ex-Scientologists disagree. I've seen the whole thing about body thetans and stuff. Like, I've seen different opinions from different people. So yeah,
Marcus, it is watch hours is a metric. It's actually at 3,000 watch hours and 500 subscribers, you as a content creator are allowed to start offering super chats, super stickers, and those thank yous. Those, I guess they call them super thanks, that come after, that you can put in the comments after a stream is done. And then at 4,000 watch hours and 1,000 subscribers, that's when you get to collect ad revenue from the advertisements that pop up in the videos. Or if somebody is a premium member, you get ad revenue from the fact that they were on your channel. So it's super corporate. You're not wrong. It's a very, very awkward metric, but it sure does exist. So
and you spend a lot of you do a lot of work, especially people who live off of YouTube, to get very little money, and YouTube gets 30% of that. So fun times.
Right.
But not doing this for the money, so
no.
It's all good.
All right, I'm gonna mute, and it's all Joe.
That was beautiful.
That was
Beautiful.
wonderful.
Beautiful.
It's fantastic.
You'll have to watch back
Excellent
the
job.
replay to see the comments and the hearts and because I hope you weren't looking at that.
No, I was looking at the music, but
Yeah, I hope so.
That was great.
It was amazing.
Yeah, I saw you were. Witness asks, is it mandolin lute? What the inlay is gorgeous.
It's an oud, and thank you.
It's not even a lute, then it's
an oud.
What is
Oud.
nude?
Oud.
How do you spell that?
O-U-D.
Okay.
Oud.
And
Oud.
where's that instrument from?
So this particular one, or the instrument in general?
The origin of the instrument, because it's
Okay.
it's a new instrument. It's not a very common instrument.
Well, it's quite common in certain parts of the world. So this is played in Arabic countries. It's played in Turkey, Greece, Armenia, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Iran as well.
Wow.
And the song I was playing is from Iran.
Very interesting.
Okay.
Beautiful.
But this particular instrument was made by me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
The music
really.
and the instrument, both. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow, you're all too kind. These comments. Wow. Needs more cowbell. Good reference.
What is that?
Needs more cowbell.
Oh, how do I explain this? It's an old TV sketch, comedy sketch, isn't it? Needs
Okay.
more cowbell.
Yeah, it was
Saturday
I've
Night
got a
Live.
fever, and
Saturday
the
Night
only
Live's with Will
That's the one.
Ferrell and Christopher Walken.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I know Saturday Night Live, but I haven't seen a lot of it.
Yeah.
But, you know.
No, it was incredible. Some would call us love bombers, but I think in this particular case, we really mean
I would
this.
call
This
you
is
that. Yeah,
This is
you're all too kind.
All right. It was okay. It was I'd give it a C plus. Is that would you
See, that's
prefer
more
that?
like it.
No, it was incredible.
Right.
Wait. Marcus says something funny. Says the community, the YouTube community is supportive AF, right? And then Steve-O, you can read the rest.
You can
But,
literally
it's
get on
funny.
here and talk about your hemorrhoids, and people will be like, "We understand." Well, that's
We
not
do,
wrong.
though.
We do, but we. I mean, in most cases, we
Speak
do
for yourself.
understand. Yeah, well, fair enough. But there. I don't think that the feelings are insincere in this case.
I'm sure they're
are
not.
insincere in this community.
But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I've had this love bombing before. I mustn't let it go to my head.
Exactly. I think that's healthy.
What do they want
healthy.
from me?
No,
yeah.
I think that's a healthy
exactly.
way to be, because I sometimes do that also. Like Goldie the other day in chat, we were all like love bombing each other, and I said, "Nah, stop love bombing me," because that it's true, but that it's not. It's true, like the feeling is true, but we're human, we're not perfect, and we're also like talking in a public forum. We're not here to bring anybody down. We're here to be supportive, and I think it's important to hear different opinions, but certain things should be discussed in private, right?
Yep.
So there's no reason for anybody to not support. I mean, there are.
No,
For
I
some
know, I'm
people,
joking.
But it was really good. It's very, very interesting. I think it's I really like Marcus's music too. I feel like there's so much. It's passion, you know.
Yep.
And
So what I found interesting, I was listening to you play this, and in my head I was thinking, and maybe it's your origin, but the music and the instrument and you know, not being overly knowledgeable on either of those, the historical music and whatnot. I was thinking like the you know, Sherwood Forest, you know, old timey, you know, England kind of, and then you tell me that's from Iran, and I'm like, is there similarity to those, or am I just
Not
really
really,
misreading the
like
room?
very distantly, maybe. I do have some medieval songs here in this book, but like, yeah, that's probably more to do with me. My origin, I
Okay,
guess.
it's possible. Yeah, I mean, I you know, I absolutely, it could be. So, but no,
I
it
can
was just
send you more authentic recordings of this song that are played by actual Albanians, and it's probably going to sound a bit different.
okay.
So,
Regardless, it was beautiful. It was absolutely fantastic. Marcus says, Joe, I have a good friend who plays darbuka, and his father was a music professor. Grew up with all kinds of music. I have a deep appreciation for what you just did. So,
thank you.
There you go.
And I must admit, also in terms of the way you phrase it, what I just did, yeah, I'm overcoming the fear of performing, I think it's fair to say. So, you know.
well, thank you for sharing it with us.
Thank you for having me. It's been great fun. And yeah.
Marcus is
we'll
another-
kick Chad out next time. Well, next time we'll kick Chad out and give you more time to talk. So.
Yeah, Chad talks too much, especially little Chad. Little Chad there, see, talking all the time.
So
I know, little
yappy.
Chad, you can't take him anywhere.
No,
Let's do it like this. No.
that's fair.
So Marcus has another comment here. Steve, I want to read that one.
Oh, just like language, it's part of our culture, and culture will disappear if not preserved. Agreed.
Yep.
So your choice of instrument is a noble one. So, yeah. Now, and realize Marcus is the one who just 2 comments ago was trashing us for our love bombing. So you know it's legit when it's coming from him. Rock It Out with Kim D. High says, comment, Joe moving while standing still from phase boundary is inspiring.
Thank you. So yeah, this is a song from my new album. So yes, thank you.
Chad's the bouncer.
The bouncer.
You're probably right.
Is that
Witness.
Chad or little Chad?
Oh,
Or
yeah,
both?
I would think little Chad's the bouncer.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Look at him. Looks like a bouncer. Anyway, I should get going, but thank you for having me. And
thank you for
yeah.
joining us, Joe.
Yeah, it was great.
Thank you for having me. It's been great fun.
Obrigada.
Bye.
Wonderful. Have a
Ciao.
great night, Joe.
Obrigada. Boa noite.
Bom fim de semana.
Boa tarde. Whichever time of day it is.
No, boa noite is fine. Bom fim de semana. Have a nice weekend.
Okay.
Auf Wiedersehen.
I'd like to bring up this comment by Sophia. She says, I like when the personal feelings transported kind of become universal. Music's about the soul playing it too. And I agree that's true for any form of art. You know, I remember like some of the things that I say, that art is whatever talks to you in a deep level that you can't explain. You know, there's no translation. There's, you know, so for example, I used to like Modigliani a lot, right? And I never cared much for Toulouse-Lautrec. And then one day I saw both at the museum. At a museum, I saw a lot of artists, and I got so excited. Oh, I'm gonna see some Modiglianis, and it wasn't the same feeling that I usually like. Their, you know, the reproductions of his paintings. And then when I saw Toulouse-Lautrec up close, I was like mesmerized. I was looking at that for hours, you know, because it really evoked some feeling in me. So that's what art is about. You know, I think it's very personal, but it's very, it's very subjective also. But I think that's what it is. It's beyond words. It's beyond understanding. You know, it's pure feeling. I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think, Chad?
I agree with what Julie said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When are we gonna see some palms for a merch store?
Oh, I know. I know.
We gotta
I know.
figure out how to get those.
I know. That's true. That's very true.
Paint them, scan them, post them, or paste them in. That's fourth wall is very nice that way. So
The trouble, I think, is the scanning part. That is a little bit harder. So you'll have to, if you figure that out, I can help you figure out the rest.
Okay.
No pressure.
Yep. No, it's a good idea though. I have to get moving on that. You're right.
FedEx office.
I usually go. Maybe FedEx office.
I mean, I think if they've got one of the little computer sections, they probably have a computer with a scanner. So might be the way to go if you don't have your own scanner.
No.
Which I don't either. So if I ever had to scan something, that's exactly what I'd be doing. Oh, what was that? Sinead O'Connor? It's a way of praying. Sinead O'Connor repeated a piece of folklore. A person who sings prays twice as much. It's a great quote. And rest in peace, Sinead.
Right.
Yeah.
We have one more. I have an answer to the whole thing. Which one of the Chads is the bouncer?
There's usually always two bouncers at the door. Good point. Good point, witness. So, yep, one. You're right.
And you never know which one is which. You know, if you have Chad and little Chad.
That's true.
Anyone, doing any phony baloney will take care of it.
There you go. And Rock It Out with Kim Ji-hai also had said about YouTube earlier.
YouTube is like a video game. New features pop up and more subscribers and views. Yeah. Yeah.
So gotta level up, get some XP.
Well, I hope StreamYard levels up a couple notches too, because we could use a little more from them.
Oh, but StreamYard is so easy to use compared to like OBS and Streamlabs and. Oof.
Easier to use, but I agree with that. I think
not as many features, sure.
Right. So yeah. But no, easy. This is the place to be for sure. So, yeah, I'll never.
I think we all use StreamYard because all of us use StreamYard. I know that's
why. And it's
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. It's just a lot easier. Guys, we're coming close to 3 hours here. So if you have any last questions or any last words, I think we should start wrapping it up.
Chad agrees.
That's right. I think
it's
so.
Probably late where Mark is too.
Getting there. Yeah, getting there. It's almost
Let me just respond to Witness here. Wow, talk about emotion. Sinead took me through some breakups. Well, Witness, let me just say this. Nothing compares to you.
Yeah, they agree.
I got that reference.
I got that reference to that reference and that reference too.
When I found out the news, 2 days ago now, I ended up down a YouTube rabbit hole listening to Sinead's version of Nothing Compares to You, all of the different versions, right? Prince's version, Chris Cornell's amazing, heartbreaking acoustic version of that song. Pink sings a version. I mean, it's just, YouTube was nice enough to help me down the rabbit hole. And it was just, it was an emotional evening, but I mean, because that's a beautiful song for all the scandal or not even scandal, but I don't know, negative press that Sinead got at times. Same kind of thing, Witness, right? I won't say she got me through a breakup, but she got me through times, right? I mean, back in the 90s, I think that was when, and to this day, 90s music, 80s and 90s music is the music that hits me the most, because that was when music was such an amazing part of my life. So, it was, I don't know how to say it, but it was just every little thing that I did at that time had some sort of music associated to it, and still does. If I think of a situation, I think of the music that went with it. If I think of music, I think of situations that went with it. I can't get out of that
Absolutely.
that circle. And that was the time. I mean, it was the time of Sinead and Prince and, you know, all of the great mid 80s to mid 90s musicians. So anyway, I'm with you there. So I'm sorry. I'm just, I got into my ramble. Prince wrote a song that couldn't possibly be sung without conviction and not be Prince himself. Yeah.
There's that too sometimes.
Absolutely.
Some people
Marcus.
are just like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Marcus, I got the email. I don't know if Steve or Chad, I don't know if this is just for, I don't know exactly, but I got that and I'm already there. Now I wanted to say something about this because, you know, you called us out on that. You called Steve out on that.
Oh, sorry.
And I just wanted to say that it could be worse because I want to tell a story then and maybe we'll finish on that. There's a Brazilian journalist who lives in New York, but he corresponds here. And then there's this, you know, news at some point that he's always like on screen, like we are here now, but, you know, he's in a studio. And they were giving the news of Princess Leia. I forget her name now.
Carrie Fisher.
Carrie Fisher. Yeah, Carrie Fisher's passing, right? And then it was all like she had just died that day. And this freaking guy, I love the guy, but this freaking guy says very seriously, because he never smiles. He's a serious guy, but he's a lighthearted guy. But he said something about, I don't remember his exact words, but it was something like that a lot of people were mourning her death, but the most beautiful message was from her friend Chewbacca. He did that on national television. That was kind of bad.
A little bit.
It was funny, but it was like way too soon.
Way too soon.
Know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I also think that any joke from Abraham Lincoln is too soon. I'm that type of guy, but you know, like theater jokes, maybe don't. You know, I'm just saying.
Yeah. Different people have different senses of humor too, you know. So sometimes some people think some stupid things are funny, and they're not for a lot of other people. So
Dawn, she did not unliven herself. She had a rough life. Went through a lot of ups and downs between the Return of the Jedi in 1983 and when she passed in, what was it, end of 2006. I think it was like Christmas Eve or something, right around Christmas. And it was just a hard up and down life. If I'm not mistaken, she actually passed on an airplane. She was still on the airplane flying back from a London press junket, flying home to Los Angeles. And if you ever catch Carrie Fisher promoting The Force Awakens on what's his name, the British comedian interviewer,
Graham Norton.
Thank you. It's a bit haunting because you know that she passed away within 48 hours, 24 hours of that interview. And then even more sad, I don't know if it was the day after or within a couple of days after, her mom, Debbie Reynolds, who she was supporting and who was also kind of helping be her support structure. They were very close. They actually lived on the same property together. Debbie Reynolds passed away because she lost her daughter. She lost her one connection. So
it was heartbreaking.
Yeah, it was very heartbreaking. So that's one that'll probably be too soon for me for quite some time. But Rest in peace, Carrie Fisher.
Yep.
So with the roar of Chewbacca, let's call this a
Bad
wrap.
jokes.
Let's call this a wrap for the day, and want to thank everybody who joined our now traditional Saturday afternoon gathering. Call it what you will. Saturday with the Never Ends. Call it Turi Talk. Whatever we want to dub it. I appreciate everybody for being here, and have a great rest of the day. Have a great, fantastic weekend, and we'll catch you all on the next one. Thanks,
all
everybody.
Of you. Thank you. Bye, guys. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.